Fuck yeah, baby. Fucking Umineko fucking podcast. Fuck yeah, yes. God fucking yes. Exactly what I've wanted. Exactly what I've waited for. Another episode of Golden Truths, an Umineko podcast. A podcast about Umineko. Episode 4. Welcome, everybody, here. I am Jennifer Booher, your host and witch of communication. Joining me, as always, are Matthew Winter.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Switching it up on you.
You motherfucker.
Isabelle Valant.
I changed my last name. Everyone get used to it. Also, everyone calls me Izzy.
Yay, Izzy. Hooray. Caelum O'Leary Codair.
I have never been happier that that's the intro you picked.
And Annabelle Barsky.
Fuck no, baby. Help me. Fuck no. God.
Oh, well, everyone, here we are at the end of the question arcs. Quick vibe check before we get into the episode proper. How's everybody taking it?
Oh.
Fucking
I'm
rancid.
I think Umineko is really good.
It is really good.
That might be controversial.
I think Umineko is very good. I think this is my favorite episode so far.
I mean, it's
Okay.
really good. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you because there's so much Maria in it.
There is there's a lot of Maria in this one.
You're saying that in the context of Maria being slowly flushed down a toilet.
But
well,
we
who's-
get to know the character.
Who's doing the flushing is the question I want to ask. And to ask that question, let's go ahead and get into the discussion.
Bing bong.
Yep, exactly like that. Alliance of the Golden Witch released.
Say it!
God.
Oh my god.
Released a. I can't fucking. I'm so.
Do you want someone else to read it?
No, I've got it. Alliance of the Golden Witch, released originally on December 29th, 2008 at Comiket 75, and for the last time, it was released officially worldwide July 8th, 2016, as part of the full Question Arcs release.
Make sure to write in with your favorite reading of that.
It's your favorite. That's the end. Alliance weaves an intricate story of the past, present, and future of Beatrice's game board, each perspective offering its own thoughts and clues to the true nature of truth, magic, and Beatrice herself. In 1998, Angie reckons with her past of abuse and relationship with magic as she embarks on a mission to uncover the truth of her family's deaths. Before 1986, Maria uses the power of the Mariage Sorcière, the titular witch's alliance between her and Beatrice, to try to live happily with her absent, abusive mother. In 1986, the family conference goes entirely off the rails, with Kinzo taking the lead on the ceremony, and nearly every member of the family witnessed to and killed by bizarre, unheard-of magics. When Battler fails to recall a sin Beatrice claims he committed 6 years ago, Beatrice abandons the game, banishes Battler, and retreats to the world of the Mariage, content to leave her game forever unfinished. But Angie, having finally uncovered the truth about magic, sacrifices herself to bring Beatrice back to her seat and give Battler the will to see this game through to the bloody, bloody end. In their final confrontation, Battler argues Beatrice down to near victory, placing her firmly in check. Beatrice, skewered through by Battler's blue truths, asks Battler to kill her by solving her final mystery, who am I? Afterwards, deep in an unknown fragment, Berncastle and Lambda Delta lounge about, as Lambda reveals that all of Battler's blue truths were totally invalid. The pair giggle to each other and, faces grinning with malice, declare that Beato can certainly not win, and a miracle certainly will not occur. What did everybody think about Alliance of the Golden Witch?
I think it's really good.
Sorry, I think the character's name is Ange.
Okay, if we want to get really specific about it, it should be Ange, which is the French pronunciation of the word angel. But Angie is a name and it fits with the Western thing, so that's always what I've called her.
Yeah, I've always been calling her Angie.
Ange.
No, yeah, everyone calls her Angie. I'm just saying that's the obvious way to read it and
What
say
did everybody think about the episode that we read?
I think that it's good. I think that basically everything that has come up in this episode is extremely juicy and really full of intrigue, and I can't wait to dig into it.
This definitely was the juiciest episode yet. had the most Maria in it, so obviously high points for me. Maria's the best character. Also, I was always more interested in the meta world around the games, and this episode is pretty much all that, and I was like, this is sexy. I love this.
I don't want to discount the actual game either, because I think the way that this specific board was structured and how it was executed is really interesting. Like, it's basically just a hostage situation.
Totally. And also, like, to what Izzy was saying, the game feels almost, like, perfunctory. Like, the game really only comes into focus in, like, the back half of the novel and is dealt with over the course of 2 or 3 fairly long chapters. And then, of course, it all dissolves and Beatrice does her thing. What really stuck out to me about episode 4 was how much it made episode 3... At first glance, it makes episode 3, like, feel really weird. Like, at the end of every other episode of Umineko, your understanding about Umineko and about the game and about the world around the game and about the players has really fundamentally changed. Except for episode 3, where it kind of feels like the most episodic, but I think that through the course of episode 4, it's proven that episode 3 maybe is more important than you initially thought.
Reading through episode 3, I was always feeling like this is like as complicated and convoluted as it gets. Like that was one of my biggest takeaways was there's almost too much going on here to process, and that's sort of the point, as the game itself has discussed before, of that episode, is it's introducing things about magic and people, it's changing the narrative of the game, it's changing the narrative of the meta game, and we don't get any of that. This episode takes it to another level. From my perspective, it made episode 3 almost like irrelevant in terms of especially the meta stuff, in terms of Eva Beatrice, in terms of the emotional arcs of the characters. It's like more so than ever. That was just literally one big intro to episode 4. It was just a big setup. It wasn't actually a self-contained thing at all. And then episode 4 gets into it, and there's so many different threads happening and different pieces of information that make themselves redundant within the same book, within the same chapter. So many conflicting emotional feelings coming from the same people that it's like, it's really almost too much for me to parse.
Well, let's go ahead and start trying to parse it. The way I want to set this up for us to talk about, because Alliance is a really densely structured book, I think. And one way that we can kind of peel it apart to talk about it is to talk about the different narrative lines going through it. There are, depending on how you want to talk about it, 3 to 5 different narratives happening here, but I'm going to say there's 4 just to simplify things.
You just average them?
Yeah, it's just a lot of numbers.
Right down in the middle. We can, there is, before the game board, which is Maria and her story that culminates in the Rosa torture scene, or really culminates in the Beatrice's retreat from the game board. There's after the game board, which is Angie and both her school life and her fun detective journey with certified fuckboy Juza Amakusa.
I love him.
Hate him.
What's wrong with him?
He's horrible, but he's
we'll
great.
Get into it.
There will be time to talk about Ama fucking Kusa and his favorite song, Monochrome Clock.
What, you don't like Mzaki?
I have very conflicted.
Boy.
I have very conflicted feelings about Mzaki. There is on the game board, which is the game board. It's it's Rakenjima. It's 1986. And there's above the game board, which of course is the game being played between Beatrice and Battler. Each of these are woven together in such a way to the way that editing does in film, to put different scenes right from different timelines right next to each other and kind of make you compare and contrast those to draw some lines between them. And it's also there to totally fuck you up and mislead you and just set you entirely on the wrong foot in a way that only Umineko can do, which is great.
I'd like to take just 1 second to say that, well, first of all, thank you, Jen, for setting it up in that way. It makes it easier to keep track of with like before, above, on, and after. That's a good formulation you've come up with. But it is masterful how they edit and write out and play out the different timelines, interweaving them. It is infuriating, bordering on impossible, what they do with that in terms of interweaving in ways that are completely nonsensical, and like I said, again, completely self-contradictory in terms of canons, in terms of things work. I mean, some timelines are like looping around each other, like Ouroboros, like as they move forward. You've got 1980 and 1990 looping around each other in a constant weave as they move forward, and it doesn't make any sense, and that's not even addressed. That's not even what any of this is about. They just do that.
Well, in this case, I will play Witch's Advocate and say that Alliance's nature as the climax of, not of Umineko, not as a whole, but of the question arcs, means that it is not interested in giving you answers. It's not interested in resolutions or in finality. It's interested in putting the perfect question mark on everything that's come before, which can be very frustrating, and I think is purposefully frustrating in the way that that frustration is there as a piece of the game design to push you forward and to make you confront with it and grapple with it. Which, that's the Dark Soulses of the world. People will always respond differently to that stuff.
And they did address the timeline thing a little bit.
Yes, well, let's put that in its context first. But I do want to say, this game does open with one of my favorite Beatrice moments ever, where Beatrice is getting ready for the next game with Battler, and Renove shows up, and Beatrice is like, hey, that thing I did last time where, like, witches don't reform and, like, I totally ground him into the dust, he's cool about it, right? And Renove's like, Lady Beatrice, he's clutching his knees, he's rolling around on the floor. You may need to do something special to perk him up. Which is, of course, Renove's trick, because Battler is fucking fine and fighting over a croissant with one of the Seven Sisters, and Beatrice busts in, fucking guns blazing, streamers from the ceiling, blowing an air horn, making a total fucking fool out of herself to try and raise Battler's spirits, which, of course, are not really dampened at all. And it's great. I love Beatrice so much.
Beatrice is the best character in all of fiction.
I might make that argument. I really, really like her. Oh, fuck. And it's great to see her after episode 3, where she apparently revealed her total ruse and how she was totally in control the entire time. It is fun to start this one out and she is immediately worried and stressed and making an ass of herself. I think that really shows how Beatrice has developed from the tea party of episode 1 through to the beginning of episode 4, and of course she develops by leaps and bounds by the end of episode 4.
Beatrice cares about people.
Beatrice
in
cares
her
about
own
Battler.
special way. Yeah, oh wow.
So that happens, and there are scenes of the game board and the above the game board interspersed through the first half of the novel, but mainly the first half is devoted to two of our storylines, the after and before, Angie and Maria, where Angie is living in a boarding school in 1990 something, and Maria is living in 1980 something before the game board, and how those two intertwine. Someone want to set up kind of what Angie's school situation is here real quick?
Bad.
So Angie's hanging out at school with exactly 0 friends because guess what? Everyone has reported her as being like a horrible witch child, and she has nobody who likes her, and everyone hates her because she doesn't know how to socialize well. And she eventually, the only thing she has that brings her any comfort is she manages to somehow get a hold of Maria's diary. And from that diary, she pretends that she can be Maria's friend through the power of magic.
Pretends, goddamn,
What an
fucking coming
asshole.
down hard right out the motherfucking
God.
gate.
I appreciate it.
Oh my god. Well, Angie has been sent by Ava because, Ava was the only one who survived the thing, and Angie is the only other Shiromiya alive, so Angie comes under Ava's protection. And after having a fairly tense relationship with Ava, Ava eventually washes her hands of Angie and sends her off to St. Lucia's, which is a boarding school for it's a secret school that nobody knows about except the elite. And is meant to be a place of great prestige where young women are sent to become their best selves and, learn how to live a life of true posh intellectualism or whatever the fuck.
It's a jail for rich girls.
Yes, so it is also a jail for people who just want to steal their daughters away forever. And the people who are like that tend to be on the bottom of the social ladder at the school. And Angie's life just sucks shit. Everyone's always talking shit about her behind her back or to her face. They're holding back assignments and then berating her for not getting them. None of the teachers are on her side because they either don't know or don't care that this is happening and only see Angie as someone who's failing.
It's also kind of implied that there's bodyguards. I'm not sure if they're at the school or not, but sort of in Angie's life in general under fake mom Ava, they're bodyguards at all times that are preventing anyone from getting close to her, talking about her, because there's a chance they might kill her and take her money or be her friend, and she'll give them the money and she'll let out family secrets. So she's not allowed to have friends.
Yeah, I believe that's come up in the question marks in the previous episode that whenever she tried to make friends, Ava would intervene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was last episode, yeah. But it's sort of re-implied with everything going on here, definitely.
Yeah, Angie is basically just wholly isolated from her entire peer group. And yeah, the only way that she can connect to anyone is to read one of Maria's diaries. It said that she got it...
Wait, pause. One of?
One of Maria's diaries. It is not explicitly stated that it is not Maria's diary from Rakenjima, but it's said that Maria's diary is among the possessions that were going to be sold off by Ava. The way I interpreted that is that this is a diary that Maria has.
Okay.
That is not actually necessarily the one that she had on the island.
Yeah, she probably filled this one up, right?
Yeah, exactly. This one is probably from before the incident, but that doesn't mean that it's still got a lot in it. So this is how I was saying 3 to 5 storylines earlier, because the Angie and Maria storylines are so intimately woven into each other because you're plainly supposed to be reading them as things that are commenting on the other, and even Angie and Maria through Angie kind of talking to Maria through her diary have conversations about the way Angie is interpreting things and the way Maria is interpreting things. And it's really interesting. So in the diary, Maria chronicles her time living with Rosa. One of the first scene we get is her getting special new character and best boy,
Yay.
Sakutaro.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Best in the world.
The first and last
My
happy
son.
moment in the whole thing.
Mhm.
Yes.
Rosa says that she made Sakutaro specially for Maria, and it's this little lion doll, right? It's a kind of Hobbes, Calvin and Hobbes style lion doll. He's really long and he's got stumpy little legs.
Cute.
So good. And he eventually gets this little scarf. But yeah, that is one of the only happy moments in this diary, because the rest of it is spent, well, I shouldn't say that because that's entirely the point of the diary, but it's one of the only purely and uncomplicatedly happy moments in the diary, because the rest of it is spent on Maria living with just her horrible mother, Rosa. God, I mean, what is there to say? What is there to say about this? Rosa is nearly always absent, always away because of quote unquote work, or is angry with her, or is correcting her in some way. We of course learn that the work that she's supposed to be doing, maybe not all of the work is not work, but a fairly sizable portion of it is her going off and having, weekends in fucking where like Sapporo, I think, is one of the places they go to.
Hot springs, trips.
Yeah,
Yes.
to like go and meet up with her lover and all of this stuff, and Maria is just alone with Sakutaro through all of it.
It's so unbelievably funny when your lover, who you ran away to go with, is like, no, maybe you should hang out with your kid a little more.
Well, hey,
I think he should break up with her.
well, let it not be said. He is also he's married, isn't he?
Yeah, is she on his wife with her?
And Rosa's like, hey, well, what about your motherfucking wife, sir? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. So like, it's not
a beautiful couple. Yeah,
exactly. It is from neither side of it has their fucking hands clean.
You should spend more time with your daughter.
Yeah, he's
she
right.
should spend more time with her daughter. So this relationship that develops between Angie and Maria, where Angie is like, hey, look, you're sad. You're sad in this entry where Rosa is gone again, and you and Sakutaro, your stuffed animal friend, are like throwing this little sleepover together instead of like going to the movies with your mother like she fucking promised you. You're sad during this. I can see in between the lines that you are sad. And Maria, through this device of these two talking, Maria says, no, the fuck I'm not. I'm happy. I wrote right there that I'm happy. Why won't you believe in that happiness? Why are you denying that happiness?
I love it when Umineko tells you how to read itself.
Right. So Caelum, please, like, what do you see here in terms of metaphor?
So something I really adore about this novel is that it has themes and it's not even remotely subtle about them. And a large one, especially in this episode, is like the idea of reading between the lines and like thinking that like magic is a coping mechanism that you need to, or you are encouraged to, maybe you don't need to, but maybe you should examine why people do things like invent your best friend stuffed animal Sakutaro.
I think that's true. And obviously with Angie's fucking vision quest that she goes on, like the ability to see through the mystery and understand the thing behind it is a very important part of this novel. Also, I think the novel is very invested in magic. I think when Maria says, I'm happy right here, why would you deny that happiness? I think if you look at the climax of the novel, by which I mean when Angie resurrects Sakutaro at the very end of the novel, this is a book that is very about that dualism, that is about understanding magic and understanding the thing behind magic, but also celebrating and preserving the magic for the people, for its own purposes. Because it is very easy to just agree with Angie, to just say, oh yeah, Maria's sad in these diary entries. And I'm not trying to say that she isn't, but I am trying to say that the happiness that she is able to create for herself time and again throughout this novel is reinforced as something that is like wonderful and unique among all of the magic that we have seen so far. Maria's ability to create happiness from nothing, she is the apprentice witch of origins, is something that Angie finds truly admirable. And I think it's something that the book wants to say to us is admirable in some ways.
It's interesting, the parallels with that, which I had sort of noticed before, might have been like the purpose of magic. I had hoped, anyway, at least, is sort of in parallel with what Virgilia says about endless magic in the last episode, which is that the point of endless magic is to cheer people up, and it's the magic of origins, which is technically a different thing. But, you do wonder. There's a marriage sorcier. Virgilia says endless magic is for cheering up.
Well,
Maria says magic is for making me happy. There's something there.
Oh, there's definitely something there.
You say, is there a mariage sorcière? So to take it to the next point, the other thing that is inside of this diary are passages written by Beatrice with her hand on ink in a diary that Angie is holding, in script that we, of course, find out through Angie's detective journey matches the script on the message bottles that were found floating after the incident, which is maybe
so juicy.
The most direct evidence we have of Beatrice actually existing, which is fucking Beatrice real.
We all knew Beatrice was real. We didn't need handwriting analysis to prove that.
Everything regarding the mystery that and like Angie's like detective journey and like talking to people is like the juiciest shit ever. Like I adore it.
Yeah, I found that part of the novel really engaging as someone who was originally, even as a teen when I was reading this for the first time, who was really drawn to Umineko by the mystery aspect and getting this kind of unearthing of these weird little estranged bits from across the years since the incident, I found to be incredibly compelling. So these dialogues between Maria and Beatrice, we see that Beatrice grants Sakutaro his own form. He's no longer just a doll. He gains he looks like a little kid with lion ears and wearing like a big fucking onesie.
He becomes furniture. Mm-hmm. This is the first time like we see furniture get created. I'm just like, what the hell?
Canon's a real doll. Should have known.
Don't say words. And of course, the relationship between Maria and Beatrice is actually very important for things that come later. Everything is important for things that come later. That's the only thing I can say right now, I guess. Angie, in her time alone, really takes all of this stuff to heart. And one of the things that she tries is the magic of summoning. And, she learns from Maria's diary and from another book she has. She has two books. One is Maria's diary, and one is Maria's grimoire, which is just filled with magical know-how, how to cast this spell, how to cast that spell. And importantly, the profiles of all of the 7 stakes of purgatory. And Angie, sad, lonely Angie, summons all 7 of the stakes eventually, but primarily Mammon, the stake of greed, to accompany her through her basically imprisonment at Saint Lucia's.
Yeah, her girlfriend Mammon.
Yeah, her girlfriend Mammon, her real girlfriend Mammon. Yes,
her real girlfriend Mammon, who is studying at a different school.
She's studying at the school. She's just, she's never around. She's got a lot of clubs. She's from Canada.
She visits all the time. Yeah,
I'm saying, oh Mammon. I'm
honestly surprised by how the 7 stakes have evolved in my mind as the reader. Because like originally I was like, why do we have these like poorly dressed anime girls? Why are they showing up? Why is this energy sword Sunday? And then by the time we get to this episode, I've grown really attached to them. And then they're like, oh, and here's this one who's gonna get a lot of character like shit. And I'm like, oh no, this one, like I was talking about in our chat that I was ranking the characters. Mammon, like consistently every time I ranked, got like 6 or 7. And I was like, I love her.
Mammon's great. You learn a lot about the concept of greed and the concept of just want, and how, Ryukishi does one of his fucking treatises where characters will just talk about something for paragraphs on end, just in the middle of a scene, and it's great. Yeah, they are all horrible fucking anime titty girls of like questionable age at best, and that part sucks. But the characters themselves and the space they occupy in the narrative, I love these little fucking bitches so much. They're just
great.
They
all love each other too.
They
all
love
Sakutaro.
Sisters. They love to gang up on Sakutaro. It's so cute.
It makes me so happy. I know that we jokingly, maybe seriously, said that Sakutaro was like the last good thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some, like, while most things ended in tragedy, there were a lot of really happy moments.
Yes, exactly. That is Alliance of the Golden Witch, I think.
Like, the 7 sisters, the first time that Angie manages to summon all of them, and then they have a fucking great time. And then in her detective times in 1998, when she reconnects herself with magic and can finally summon all of them again. And they're all so happy to see each other because they had been dead because of her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chilling on Mount Purgatory, doing whatever. They're great. Angie's relationship that she really has with real people who exist with them is great. But to let us examine, let's say, the other side, the other side of the dualism that is Umineko. Caelum, you want to talk about chuunibyous?
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of like this this timeline, this thread of this episode is about like examining why chuunibyous as a concept like happens, and it's like a loving examination of it. What drives someone to go, yes, I have a girlfriend from Canada named Mammon who is definitely real, like the kind of loneliness that you have to suffer to find solace in those things, but at the same time it's never like against it. Like that's something I really like about Umineko, is that it like embraces the cringe.
Umineko embraces the cringe. The title of this episode of this podcast.
It is. It's about cringe culture, but in a good way.
This echoes back to me to a conversation that Battler and the cousins had in episode 1 about how that's basically about what you're talking about, Caelum, where young kids will develop identities as a way to give themselves legitimacy and also as a way to just find their own identity as they're growing up.
I love when Umineko just tells you how to read it.
It's great. Umineko does that maybe more frequently than you would think. But I think the way that Angie intersects with that idea in a particular way, because we know that Maria has talked about witches at school, and that's why she's unpopular and why she's kind of the one that gets picked on. But Angie doesn't do that. Angie isn't using magic as a means to like assert some sort of identity. She's doing it much more purely as a coping mechanism, as a way to not be so lonely, as a way to connect with her family who are all dead at Beatrice's hands, as a way to not just lose herself in just the absolute abjectly horrible circumstances she finds herself in.
Maria and Angie both seek out magic for very different reasons from each other, because Maria like delves into magic to cope with her neglectful mother, and Angie delves into it to like cope with immense and omnipresent bullying at school. Like they're different sources, so it's interesting how they manifest differently, right?
Yeah, and most importantly, Angie never develops an identity around it, where Maria, her whole thing is witches. That's like that's her special interest, right? Like that is the thing for her. And of course the break point for these two is that Angie gets to go on, gets to grow up, gets to have this horrible moment of rupture that we're about to get to. But then have a whole life past that and grow into this 18-year-old woman who is able to have a more complex relationship with that stuff, where Maria's story kind of gets cut short because she dies when she's 9 years old.
Yeah, it literally gets cut short because she dies when she's 9.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think is one thing I really struggled with when I was reading this book as a teenager was this idea of accepting Maria's happiness. Because in my head, accepting Maria's happiness was the same as
condemning her.
Or it was eliding all of the awful shit she's going through. To accept that happiness in my mind was to accept and believe in and perpetuate a lie where this young child is living in these terrible circumstances, and shouldn't you do something about it? But I think that we can't understand acknowledging Maria's happiness as perpetuating a lie necessarily, or we can't understand it as something we are doing that is harming Maria, because Maria's kind of done for. She's dead. That story's over and it's ended and it's complete. Horribly complete, but it's over. And so you have to understand when the Maria of the diary begs Angie to understand and to not deny her happiness. It's not about condemning Maria, to her terrible circumstances. It's about believing that the happiness Maria found, the happiness Maria fucking created in that circumstance was real and valuable.
It's like paying respect for the dead, sort of in that way.
Yeah, totally.
Almost. I mean, it's more than that, because she's like imaginary friends with her, or real friends if you believe in the magic, which I kind of do.
Too depressing otherwise.
Yeah, well, this game's depressing, huh? It's about the fact that it's ascribing a strength to this person in the past. It's not a show of weakness or of her being in denial. It's said at later points in the game during these sort of flashback scenes or whatever, when she flirts with being a black witch, which means she flirts with being sicko mode and evil and torturing her mom infinitely, which good for her, but we'll get to that. When she's doing all that, it's like she does know that what her mom was doing was wrong,
Yeah.
and sort of this embodiment of Sakutaro was to say otherwise, but it's about respecting her and believing, wow, this person at 9 years old, at only 9 years old, not, she was so immature and in denial and it was foolish and she needed better. She did, of course, but it's amazing that she was able to create this beauty out of such a horrible situation, and you have to wonder what she could have done with that had she been given more time.
Exactly.
That's the real sadness, is that she didn't have time to exercise that amazing power, which she did really have.
If you do not grant Maria that happiness, then Maria has, what agency does a 9-year-old have at the hands of an abusive parent to change her circumstances? Especially like in the psychological reality of living in that basically her entire life. Not even basically, actually her entire life.
Crushing.
And she's only 9 years old. Like, how much can she realize this stuff? She did realize it deep down, but the agency that she does have is to create this happiness, and you have to grant her that happiness, and you have to accept that happiness was real and true, that happiness was truth, even if it was maybe one truth among many, but that was a truth that happened.
I think one truth among many is definitely one of the big messages that this episode has, right? That everyone has their own individual truths, and that's how Angie like learns to understand magic, right? That understanding simultaneously both that Maria was happy, that she did create happiness for herself, but also that she was in a terrible situation perpetuated by Rosa. Like that both these things are true.
Right, exactly, yes. But before you can come to a mature understanding about magic, everything has to come clashing down, which is what happens to Angie when she is, she's very deep into her magical journey at this point. She's still at school, but she can summon all of the stakes at once, and the stakes, of course, cannot be seen by anyone else because of the magic-denying toxin, obviously. But basically, Angie hits this supremely low place because she didn't study for a quiz, and she gets assigned to study hall, and all of basically her entire class stands around her and like berates her and makes her write this horrible letter calling herself stupid and worthless, and all of that shit. Kids are terrible.
She's being low-key tortured by her classmates, yeah.
I wouldn't say low-key.
I'd say low-key.
Yeah, she's being
tortured by her classmates.
Yes.
Yeah, that scene is fucking rough. Like, it's really well written. It's just like, ooh.
Oh, it's
that's
brutal.
This whole episode.
Yes. And so she eventually gets so fed up that she starts ordering the Seven Sisters to fucking kill everyone, because that's what they do. They're the 7 stakes of purgatory. We've seen it in the earlier novels. That's their whole thing. They say they can't because of the magic-denying toxin, and that Angie herself does not possess the actual willpower to kill and all of this stuff, and Angie's not hearing it, or she won't accept it. She says, okay, well then die, and shatters all of them one by one until only Mammon is left, her best friend.
Oh, her best friend,
her fucking gal pal, and Mammon shatters too, and then Angie announces to everyone that she wishes that she would die, and a teacher fucking rushes in, and Angie is like having a fucking breakdown. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's so sad for me because all the different stakes, they each have their own personality, which is part of what they're saying, but they're each trying to encourage her in a different way. Like, whether or not these people are real or not, or they're just in her head, like they're each taking a different approach to try to support her as best they can, short of killing these people. And she's too far.
The younger sisters, Asmo and Beelzebub, are like crying and like have no idea what to do. The older sisters, like Lucifer and Satan, are like scrambling to make something happen. Is Lucifer the first one that dies? I don't remember.
It went from first to last.
Okay.
Yes.
And Belphegor, the perfect middle sister, has the most rational argument of all, but of course that she gets shattered. For how little airtime all of these sisters get, their personalities really do shine through. Again, that is because they all have one personality point. It's their sin. But I love that shit. Did you know that the Angie Mammon pairing was actually popular before episode 4 was published.
What does that mean?
I had
How
no
does that even
idea.
make sense?
Which is like
I didn't
Angie
either.
Angie was in the story for about 2 seconds between episodes 3.
Yes. So,
They didn't
so what
interact.
happened was,
No.
well, the thing is, this was revealed in a, oh fuck, I have to find the name of it real quick. With every episode that gets released, there's this kind of companion reader that comes out with it, at the time they're being released, called
Bonus materials.
the Shinso Kaimei Dokuhon, which is apparently translates to Truth Reader. And it's a thing compiling fan theories and, importantly for us, interviews with Ryukishi and the crew at 7th Expansion. One of the things that comes out in the interview from the episode 4 Dokuhon is that the two remark, because, they both know the Japanese fandom at the time, I fucking don't, but they say, yeah, it's weird. People thought that you included Angie and Mammon because the pairing was already so popular. What happened was all of the other sisters in episodes 2 and 3, every other sister got a little moment in the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
Leviathan and Belphegor get their Kyrie and Rudolph fight. Lucifer obviously gets some time. Satan, Asmo, and Beelzebub are doing stuff, but Mammon never really got her time in the spotlight. And that was because Ryukishi knew that, I'm going to be pairing her up with Angie for episode 4, so I'm going to hold her back.
And everyone else figured that out?
Everyone else, they saw that Mammon didn't have anything to do. So, you've got to...
found her something to do.
You've got...
Oh,
Christ. But they paired those two up because Angie was barely in the story and Mammon was barely in the story. So fuck, why not? Essentially was the vibe I got off of it. And Ryukishi saw that and was like, oh, fuck, they're going to think I did it because of them. But this was the plan the whole time.
That's what you call good foreshadowing.
That's what you call Coinstar
It's
for
like-
cheese.
But it was like it was like anti-foreshadowing. It was like un-foreshadowing. People were extrapolating from a lack of information, which is great.
Coinstar for Keys really got me, sorry.
Umineko is fucking... The game is extrapolating from information you don't have.
Yeah,
It's true.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
In a way, they figured out the plot, but they were too busy being horny to think about what that could possibly mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that.
Without a
I
boner, it
respect that.
cannot be seen.
The highs and
No.
lows of an otaku audience. Anyway, this horrible time that Angie's going through is host to, I think from the way people were talking earlier, one of the most confusing scenes in this novel. Anna, would you like to walk us through the apparent double Mobius reach around that happens here?
Oh my god.
Can you re-record that so you didn't say that?
Absolutely not.
This is where I'm
Anna, go
hearing
ahead.
Crystal Manthikins in my head right now. That's the name of that
Stop.
Homestuck
We
song.
can't. We can't.
Oh,
keep-
you brought it up. This is your fault. This is your
It's
magic.
Homestuck, baby.
This is your magic, Genitress. Okay, so this frickin' moment is exactly what I was talking about with the timeline shit. We have before, we have after. Diary Maria, who Angie is talking to in after, exists in the before. Angie in school
Yes.
exists in the after. They communicate sort of on the meta level of the magic. That's all fine. I can accept they're communicating on sort of another level. It's in Angie's head. It's in Maria's head. And if magic is real, then they can access this sort of out of time plane. I respect that. Where things get so fucked up is that after she's done turning all of her girl friends and her girlfriend into glass and shattering them horribly, she turns to Maria and Sakataro, who are like her other two head companions, imaginary friends, magic friends, and she says, Maria, you've never been a witch, your happiness isn't real, and worst of all, Sakataro isn't real. And she starts to make Sakataro fall apart, and blood is dripping out, and he's decomposing, and he's been given this beautiful form by, Beatrice and everything, and all that's coming undone. And then Maria's like, well, fuck you, Angie, we're taking off. And she says it more respectfully than that, because she's Lady Maria. She's a witch at this point. And then she fucks off back to her own time, out of the after, where Angie exists, into the before, where this diary is theoretically being written. Where shit gets really weird is that in the before, chronologically, after Angie and Maria have existed, Angie being either not born yet or a baby in the before Maria is talking to her real stuffed animal / magic friend Sakataro, and it's like, she denied you. I can never forgive her for that. That affects me and my actions and my feelings. And then things spiral out of control from there, and her diary gets more depressing, and she starts to learn about black magic. And you could think, well, those two things are just sort of coincidental. But then Angie in the future, in the after, at another point, says herself, if I had not denied Sakataro on that day, Maria would not have turned to black magic and would not have done this, and things would have gone so differently. So to correct this sin, I have to undeny Sakataro and bring him back to life for Maria. So the timelines get so screwed up. Why does Angie think, real or not, magic has to be, actually, not real or not, magic has to be real for this to have worked, because Angie is saying, I fucked past Maria up and led to the events of 1986 personally, when I, in 1996 or whatever, in my shit high school, interacted with Brain Maria. Like, how was anyone else confused by this? How does this all add up?
I have a perfect answer.
I was not confused.
There's no time travel going on, and there's no timeline weirdness that's going on. My interpretation of that is that, like, I don't know, like the 1985 family conference, Angie was there. She would be 5 at that point, and like in that situation, Angie was a bastard and denied Sakutaro, and that's what Angie's talking about.
Oh fuck! I never even considered.
That's definitely not what happened.
And it just happened that like Angie either had forgotten about it or had just decided that didn't happen, because like a valid interpretation of magic is that it is like playground pretend, and you can just retcon stuff whenever you want. Nothing, and like nobody can counter that. So she just chose to like not remember that or not consider it canon until like, she was really pissed that the stakes could not help her. And she remembered that she had denied Sakutaro before and had denied Maria's magic and had made that canon again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just think it was a 5-year-old Angie was a bastard about Sakutaro once, and that really fucked with Maria.
No, that was magic.
That was magic too.
One of the things that happens in that scene is that Maria expels Angie from the Mariage Sorcière. And that's referenced in the scene immediately following this, which, as you say, is the before scene where Maria is crying that Angie has denied Sakutaro.
And that's when the Mariage Sorcière turns to black magic, and Beatrice is teaching her dank spells for killing mom, and blah blah blah. She's writing it all down. Yeah. So I guess it could be 5-year-old Angie. That's so. Is it just really? Again, we're doing this again.
If your mom is Kyrie, would you not deny magic?
Fucking Kyrie.
That's exactly the way that I read the scene as well. Was I definitely saw it as, this is echoing something that had happened before. This is like, it could have not been like as dramatic as that when it really happened. There's basically 2 events we're looking at here. We're looking at her having the stakes fail to do anything that would actually help her or make her feel better, and she denies magic once more. But that's echoing a previous time when Maria was like, here's my cool stuffed animal friend. His name is Sakutaro. Ryu, it's nice to meet you. And then Angie just looks at her and goes, that's cringe.
Literally.
That's it.
Maria, you posted cringe. You're going to lose subscribers.
Is that your fucking persona?
Literally, that's what happened.
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to be like a huge rejection or denial. Yeah. It's just, that's just a stuffed animal.
It could have sincerely been something that Angie had not even like made a second thought about, and then like on reading Maria's diary and seeing how dark it got after she did that, like something that she understood in retrospect, that holy shit, calling her persona cringe like completely destroyed Maria's worldview. That was really fucked up of 5-year-old me.
I sure hope her brother didn't do anything similar to that.
Yeah, that's probably fine. Caelum and I, actually, as readers of the PC port of the console port, have access to a bit of information that everyone else does not, which is that during that scene, when Angie is saying, ha ha ha, that's just a stuffed animal.
Oh yeah, her voice gets baby-like.
It is the voice of like a 6-year-old or 5-year-old.
I forgot about that entirely.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, so you all got a bonus hint.
Yeah, it's one way in just that the console port is just inferior to the original.
Bro, yeah. I hate it here. They just fucking tell you that? Oh my god.
The PS3 version of this game
you do have to do a little bit of inference, but yeah.
Pushes one narrative and discourages all alternatives, and it's just disgusting.
Well, that's what happened. Mystery solved.
Well, I think that, accepting that as a truth, I think is really important, because later Angie says, I think you might have said this, Caelum, that Angie says that she thinks that her denial of Sakutaro somehow led to the incident, somehow led to the Rakenjima murders.
Yeah.
And Mammon's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Angie's just like, it's just a feeling. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that, like, with the evidence that Angie has in 1998, like, I feel like that would be increasingly likely, right? Because, like, the grimoire has notes in it written by Beatrice, which match the handwriting of the letters that, God, we have to get into those. The letters that are allegedly penned by Maria, which, like, from that perspective, there was somebody involved who was teaching Maria dank spells to kill their mom, and also was directly involved in the murders. So, like, going from that and being like, oh God, the only reason Maria was interested in this kind of content is because of something I said to her, like, that's a really valid conclusion to come from that.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing is there's one other thing that the handwriting matches on, and that is the mysterious letters that went to the children of all the old people.
Yes, we have to get into those.
Yes, they do. Okay,
should we do that now? Let's do that now.
Well, we're so close to
We gotta go to
Rose's...
other stuff first, yeah.
Yeah. We've got Sakutaro's death and Rose's torture. Let's just put a bow on this particular narrative thread. After this scene, Maria is like, how could Angie do that, et cetera, and
then we get Maria's first-person view of her sad life.
So with, the magic kind of dispelled, well, it's not really that, though I guess that is a contributing factor. Maria goes to the convenience store, which she's been trained by Rosa to go to different stores every single night. Don't talk to any police officers if they're coming. Just say you're out getting some groceries and, that kind of stuff. Fucking terrible. But Maria loses her key while she's out, and they have to, the store owner gets the police involved, who call Rosa back from one of her fucking
is right.
grand vacations. Call her back from her fucking vacation, where, as Matt mentioned earlier, her lover is like, hey, shouldn't you spend some more time with your kid? And, they fucking get into it. Rosa's like, don't tell me how to live my life. The whole shit. Rosa comes back, and she is fucking pissed because in Rosa and Maria's house is a social worker.
It's Ryukishi.
It's Ryukishi himself, summoned from the past to, see how things are going. And Rosa absolutely loses her motherfucking mind. She is screaming. She is assaulting the worker, and then worst of all, she does the only thing she knows how to do to cope with her own fucking horrible trauma, which is to hurt Maria. And she takes one of the Rabbit musician band. Earlier in the book, Rosa had bought Maria a series of porcelain figures of a bunch of animals playing instruments and stuff, and she takes one of those, a rabbit from a set of 4, and she throws it against the fucking wall, and it shatters. And, Maria is horrified. And then, to go even further, Rosa tears apart Sakutaro. And in Maria's eyes, kills him.
I gotta say, this was a really damning condemnation of the social services in Japan in 1986. If Rosa did this directly in front of a welfare officer and kept custody of her fucking child.
I want to point out, not only did she do this in front of a welfare officer, she assaulted
said
said welfare
got into a
officer.
fist fight. I do have a pet theory that the money that Rosa needs is not for her business, but because she needs to get a lawyer for a custody battle to keep Maria. And she would have a lot of motivation to lie about that to her siblings. So
that's a very interesting theory.
Totally.
But also, I feel
I actually came to the same conclusion. Totally agree.
I feel like the Ushiro family would definitely go out of its way to drop money to keep their name clean.
The thing is that I don't think Rosa would admit that kind of vulnerability to them, that she is such a terrible mother that she is going to lose custody of her child, right? When she's already kind of a laughingstock of the family for being a single mother, or at least she is in her own eyes, right? I don't think she would ask for money for that reason, but she would ask for money for something like, oh, my business is failing. That's a level of embarrassment that she's willing to take.
Right. Kraus, in episode 1, when Kraus kind of shows everyone, haha, I know about your shitty financial situations, Rosa is the vaguest, and the other two, Rudolph and Ava's situations, kind of get little explainers through the narration, but Rosa's didn't. It just says something like, oh, well, you signed onto a contract that you shouldn't have signed onto, or something like that.
Yeah, she's just bad at running a Lolita fashion company.
Well, I think you could read that as you signed onto a contract you didn't want to, i.e. the contract of marriage, of marrying this guy and having Maria, or the contract of being a mother.
I don't think she's married.
I don't think that's, well, she ain't married anymore, but still, like, that kind of, the contract, the duty of being a mother to Maria. It's not explicit, but it is. It's a theory. It's just a theory, a game theory.
Yeah, I love to read the absolute worst into Rosa in every occasion.
Totally.
And this is one of those situations. Because I hate Rosa.
Rosa's the fucking worst. We will end her.
Yeah, Rosa. Oh, fuck Rosa.
She's really the character where I'm the most, sorry about your trauma, stop abusing your child, of basically anyone in the casting.
Totally. Rosa is the point where Maria's magic breaks, right? Like, yeah, as we've been saying, Maria goes to Beatrice and says, teach me how to kill mama or something.
The bad witch in Mama.
Yeah, the bad witch. The bad witch
which
inside
is
of
an
Mama.
interesting callback to episode 2, where Maria says that there is no 2 mamas, there's only one. Anyway.
Well, she says that Maria says that at the very end of her life, right before she's eaten by all those goats. And so Beatrice does. Later, this scene is cut into the game board, so the time when it takes place is pretty vague. But Beatrice teaches Maria about the endless magic and uses her endless magic to trap Rosa on the game board, apparently after she has died. Again, when this happens isn't clear. But
yeah, it's weird. Her situation is especially weird, and a tiny bit of mystery solving. Weird stuff happens to Rosa in every game board, in every version of the mystery. It's weird every time, and this time, like 5 of them get sucked into pitfalls or whatever. Several of them are killed right away with golden thread stuff, stake fashion, shot in the face, their head explodes, brains visible, obviously dead. Several of them get dropped into black holes by sexy clown witch, and they wind up in a dungeon. Rosa is one of the people who gets dropped into a hole, supposedly to be kept for a later twilight, a later step in the murders. But she winds up in this fucking hell dimension, and then later she shows up dead in the real world with all the other people who died instantly.
Was Rosa shot? I thought Rosa was shot.
I think Rosa...
Am I misremembering that?
Oh yeah,
Rosa was part of the first Twilight.
Yeah, she was definitely counted as part of the first Twilight, but was she shown to be shot by the
I
thread?
don't think she is.
I think she was.
Because in the scene afterwards, when Rosa is trapped in the torture maze,
I think she was the first to die.
She's complaining about her head all the time. She says, "Ow, my head hurts. Ow, my head hurts." Which I think is supposed to call back to her getting fucking blasted.
According to the tips for episode 4, after you press the execute button, her corpse was found in the dining hall. About half of her head was destroyed.
That's where it's found, yes.
Well, the half of her head being destroyed...
I'm pretty certain that we see her die.
We can wrap back around to this, but let's keep going.
In any case, Rosa enters the torture dungeon, and Beatrice teaches Maria about how wonderful it is to just kill someone. Just kill someone. If there's someone you don't like, just take them into your brain prison and just kill them over and over and over and over again until you can forgive them. And it's totally cool and like a regular way to be. And Maria, has a very tortured kind of emotional arc through this scene. What did everybody else think about this one? I know, Izzy, I know you've got something to say.
I'm all about it.
Okay.
I was like, hell yeah, Maria. Do what you gotta do.
Does she gotta do it?
Let me go to the beginning. Let me give, I guess, some context about my perspective. I so heavily relate to Maria. Like, so many aspects of her upbringing, I draw parallels to my own. Like the neglect and making up friends with stuffed animals. And not to get super deep, but I was like, pretty much every part of it, I was like, yes, I will project onto that. I think, like, in this case, like, I don't know, Maria probably shouldn't be endlessly killing her mom. It seemed like, okay, so Beatrice, I would say, is sort of actually, like, the mother figure for Maria.
Yeah, totally.
Completely.
But, like, Beatrice is going along with it because she's angry for Maria, but also seems to be reluctantly going on with it, because every time it happens, she's like, are you ready to forgive her? Are you ready to stop? Is this really what you want? And Maria's just like, yes.
I didn't read that as reluctance. I read that as Beatrice confirming that this is what Maria wants. I don't think it's necessarily that Beatrice is reluctant to do it. I think that they make a point in this scene that this world is being sustained by Maria's will. And I think that's important to understanding how this is affecting Maria and what it means for Maria, is that Beatrice didn't like pull Maria into a pocket dimension and say, now just kill her over and over again. The fact that it is Maria choosing to kill her mother over and over and over again is very important to how we read this scene, I think.
Okay.
So, like, Maria does get a sort of catharsis out of it. Like, she talks in the console port, there's this like fucking ugly, terrible looking CG, which I guess I'll link everybody right now.
I don't want to see it.
Too late.
Yes.
And she's
Oh yeah, this looks like shit.
Okay. I have a lot of
no.
something that I have appreciated about the original version is that it hadn't leaned in so heavily into the creepiness of child being murdery.
Totally.
Like imagery that I don't particularly enjoy, which is very popular in like visual novels of this style, is just like anybody with like a bloody butcher knife and people are just like, oh yeah, baby. Hell yeah, look at her. She's a 5-year-old and she's gonna murder you with a knife. And I'm just like, I don't find that enjoyable. And I was glad that this game doesn't really play into that. And then now we have this, and I'm just like, come on. Like, I don't feel like it should necessarily be read so black and white as Maria definitely going off of the deep end, and she's fucked. Like,
sure, but I don't think we should. I don't think we should read it as this is definitely cool and normal and a thing that is helping Maria. Like, for Maria, like what you want for Maria is healing. Is you want her to feel better about herself and her relationship with her mother, even if that is by discarding it. Like the way that it is, her relationship with her mother and her relationship with herself is twisted in this moment, I think is I think that this is the tragedy of Maria right here, is knowing that the Maria who dies is this Maria, is the Maria who, even not just for her horrible mother, the VN makes a point of this right before the end of the chapter. It pulls back to the game board, and Maria does the same thing to Battler, who like made her kind of angry by like waking her up or something. You know, she says "ki he," and Battler notes that she is counting each of the he's, like something is happening on each of those he's, obviously implying that she's killing Battler over and over and over again in her mind until she just announces that she feels better about it.
It's a really fascinating thing as well, because it also changes the context of earlier chapters in the story, because she's definitely doing this then too, when people are pissing her off, when Battler's slapping her on the head
100%,
and all that shit.
All of the he's are totally recast.
This is how she processes it now that she has lost the magic of love that she had before.
And this is the point where Maria succumbs to the cycle of the Ushiramiya fucking family, and like she internalizes her own abuse and then begins externalizing it out onto others. Obviously, she's a 9-year-old girl, so she does not actually have power to like physically harm anyone. But this is the moment where we see the abuse, the cycle of abuse, repeat itself and propagate itself into the purest, like happiest, like the symbol of hope for the Ushiramiya family. Even she cannot rise above the need, the horrible fucking clawing anger and sadness inside of her. She has to fucking shoot it back out onto other people around her, and it's terrible.
I wanna say y'all make really good points, and I changed my mind a little bit. This doesn't seem healthy, Maria. You should probably not do it.
Well,
I love you, my daughter. I will protect you. Stop killing people in your brain.
It's okay. She's getting it out of her system. We all have those phases when you're 9 years old.
Yes, that's the other thing, is that for 9 years old, she does not have any power, so I understand the need. Like, we've all got to, fuck baby, we've all got to cope.
Yeah, like, she has no agency in her life, so, like, especially in Maria's life, right? So, like, let her go ham a little bit, especially if this is only in her
Totally.
head.
I don't think it is. I don't think that this scene is in any way a condemnation of Maria. It is tragedy. It's high tragedy. Yeah. It is the fall. It's the destruction of innocence and the all of that stuff, and it's terribly sad. But this is not a moment where you say, Maria, you should have just risen above your trauma and just not been sad about it. Like that's not what I'm trying to get at here. I am trying to point out that the novel is pointing out that this is a very sad moment.
Oh yeah, it's very sad.
I deleted the link because I wanted to not look at it anymore.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's terrible. I guess I should probably figure out how show notes work and put that in there. Be warned, it's a weird fucking face.
I don't like it. Maria, I don't know how much more there's to say about it, but I just want to put out. I want to say Maria's the best character ever.
Maria's great. Yeah.
She's up there with Beatrice.
This is the second best character ever.
Yeah, she's not Beatrice, but she's really good.
What if she is a Beatrice? We haven't even thought about all that.
Maria's better than Beatrice, and I'll fight you.
Anyone with Beatrice in their name who doesn't also have Ava in their name is the best character in Umineko.
What about Angie? Angie Beatrice is great.
Yeah.
They're probably...
Virgilia Beatrice is great.
Oh my god, do you know something I love about this fucking game? Like, when they become witches, their names stop being like proper capitalized to all caps capitalized.
Yes.
And I'm just like Dio from JoJo, baby.
Yep. In Japan, they use katakana.
Yeah, it's a localization choice.
Where are you, Austin Powers, today?
What are you talking about?
That's the third time you went, yeah, baby.
I'm just
And
talking.
What the fuck is happening?
This is my voice now. Get out of my life.
I've known you for years. What happened?
I just
This is
decide...
this is Izzy's fall.
Fuck yeah.
This is not my fault.
Fucking,
I am rising. This is my ascension.
Shagadelic, Izzy.
Izzy Beatrice.
Oh, Christ.
I am
Izzy Beatrice real.
Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum.
So that's where that kind of narrative thread becomes kind of reaches its conclusion for the moment in the narrative. There's a tiny bit more, but it eventually all of these narratives come together, but we're not there yet. The next thing we're going to talk about is the game board.
Ooh, this one's so juicy.
Like I said at the start, like there's not really a lot here to pick over in terms of like closed rooms or mysteries, essentially, because basically everyone else on the island watches everyone else on the island, except for Battler, get killed by magic.
Jen, what the fuck are you talking about? There's a huge mystery here. Is it Kinzo is dead or alive?
It's not even a big mystery. What? Beatrice says it in red at the end. She says Kinzo's dead and has always been
how did
dead.
this board work if Kinzo is dead the whole time?
Yeah.
Fake Kinzo. Finzo.
Who? There are only 17 people on the island.
We can't answer that.
You want to know a really dumb theory that I had that I said to Kebs and then she laughed at me for?
Yes.
And I'm going to laugh at you again. Let's hear it.
Please.
Okay, so you know how Shannon's real name is Sayo?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What if Cannon's real name is also Kinzo? Great.
Ushiramiya Kinzo.
No, it doesn't say Yushiramiya Kinzo, it just says someone else by the name of Kinzo.
Oh my god, I just got lightheaded from that. I nearly passed out.
On the Discord call, you fucking totally cut out, so I'm excited to get this recording later and see the, like, solid block of audio.
Oh, yeah.
That is there to greet me.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That's a great,
and also, Kinzo Cannon ate small bombs. Okay.
Yeah, small bombs. Everyone loves the small bombs.
My only single qualm with that is
I refuse to explain.
Canon is not up to it. It's not that it's not plausible, it's just that Canon is so small and ineffectual.
It's also, Canon is, like, really strongly against...
If Cannon's real name is Kinzo, then that just satisfies the requirement of someone named Kinzo walked into the room. That doesn't mean that Canon Kinzo is the person who did all of this. It just means that they recognize someone who entered the room named Kinzo.
The red text is that somebody named Kinzo was in the room and nobody would have mistaken somebody else for Kinzo Yoshiramiya.
Yes. So here's the red text exactly. The first red truth. All of those who met at the family conference acknowledged the presence of Kinzo. And then later she says, no one would mistake Ushiramiya Kinzo by sight. No matter what disguise might be used, they would not mistake Ushiramiya Kinzo by sight.
Cheese and crackers. I hate the
technicalities. Oh my god, am I fucking right? Did I nail it?
You're right. Yes, you
best.
fucking...
That
that would thread the needle.
Too.
I'm so
because,
smart.
the names come up later. We'll see about that. These are the question marks, maybe.
Did you just say you're so smart and hot? I mean, you're right.
So Kinzo's death or alive status is a big point of contention. Kyrie brings up, like, hey, this is a theory I have, and Battler says, above the game board, Battler says, yeah, that's a theory I was working on too. He's into it because it would open up a character slot on Rakenjima of the 18 people that are no more than 18 people that are there supposedly
that gets
to
taken
be
away.
Beatrice. And it does get taken away at the very end.
Says
Yes.
there's only 17. Also, I refuse to believe Battler was thinking of that at the same time.
He's like, oh, that's awesome.
He just sees
You're
Kyrie
right.
do that, and he's like, yeah, thanks again,
awesome.
Mom. Yeah, I was totally thinking of that.
I think I also in Darwin because eyes are fucking creeping me out this time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the Kinzo eyes. I
Kinzo
hated to
sprite.
look at him. I hate him. Terrible.
Jesus Christ, Kinzo, get out of my life.
It was
great.
very
It's
bad. It's the same as that Ava sprite from the last game that I've
but
talked
this
about
one's so-
before, and that one is there for 1 second, and it scared the shit out of me.
But this one, you see it so often and so much, and it's so goofy. I love it so much.
I'm glad you like it, Jen.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
let's all like it. Mhm.
Remember when Kraus just kind of knocks on his door? Yo, Dad, you want to come down for dinner? And then he just fucking choke slams him into the ground. He's like,
does.
fuck
He
yeah, dinner!
Lifts him up by a single finger under his thing. Yeah, Kinzo is great. There's so much going on with Kinzo in this one. So
great.
Kinzo fucking waltzes into the family conference. Kyrie and the people finally pressure Kraus and Natsui enough, and they're like, okay, you want to meet Kinzo? Well, you'll meet Kinzo. And so the cousins, after dinner, the cousins are expelled, the family conference begins, and all the adults are sitting around waiting for people. And eventually, like, all of the servants show up too, and then boom, what the fuck is up? Kinzo is here. And he summons the Chiester sisters from earlier, and also a new one, 00, who is blonde and has a hime cut and has an eye patch. And she's great. She's like, I don't know, the leader of the fucking squad.
You know her well.
She lost one of her squad members. That's her entire personality.
Her entire personality is she's sad about 556.
Yeah. She didn't lose
a rabbit
Hold
who
on, wait.
died.
She didn't lose her entire squad.
wait.
She only lost 1/4 of it.
Mhm.
Izzy?
Okay.
What?
I just thought of it something maybe stupid. I don't know.
Yes, Izzy, please share with the class.
Throw out that blue text!
00 was upset about losing a member of the squad.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
4 bunnies.
Mhm.
Doesn't Maria have 4 bunnies?
Yeah,
my
I was
God.
thinking
Oh
about
my
that.
god, yes!
Yes.
And didn't Rosa brutally murder one of them?
Yep.
Oh shit!
Well, that's interesting because Maria isn't present in any of these scenes where they show up, is she?
Well, we gotta know something fucking is
guess
going
not.
on
And in
anyway.
the previous game, when they're all in the Golden Land at the end and they're all running around doing silly things, they address her as Lady Maria, and I was
They
like,
do?
what? In what world is she already a witch? Now we know.
So, explain this one, atheists. How do the bunnies show up if Maria isn't there?
Well, they don't show up because magic isn't real, so...
Okay, Buster.
I'm gonna end you.
I definitely. I think this is an interesting game because, like, just the reveal that Kinzo has been dead the entire time calls into question not only, like, nearly every sequence in this game, but also a lot of stuff from previous games. So.
God, there's one scene where Natsui goes and Kinzo's just like, oh man, if you were my son, oh, it'd be so cool. I'd give you like a back rub. It'd be so hype.
What happened there,
Only
right?
transgender for real. Oh god, yeah. Every time someone interacts with Kinzo is now immediately suspect.
Remember
because of
that
this
fucking
information, yeah.
that whole like argument in episode 1 where Ava put a receipt in Kinzo's door and like the receipt never moved? That's really interesting. Remember how remember the really strong perfume smell that permeates that study? I guess if Kinzo was dead for a long time, they could have been, perfuming that place with awful smell to cover the smell of a dead person.
In episode 1, before Ava kind of banishes herself from the parlor where everybody's holed up, she turns to Battler and says, "Hey, that thing with the receipt is really important. Okay? There's something very important there." I think in that episode, Ava knows, or Ava at least suspects that Kinzo is already dead.
I think, okay. So I operate off the theory that, like, every game session starts essentially the same, and then what happens in the game board, like, differs based on, like, something, like a a different force altering it. So
Totally. Beatrice even says that Kinzo is dead at the start time of all games.
So going off that and saying that like the start of Rokenjima is the same at the start of every game, then I would assume that every adult is coming in with the same information and hunches that they had every game, in which case Ava and all the adults are probably suspicious that Kinzo is dead for the 3 preceding games as well. The only time they pursue it as like an argument to extort Kraus out of money is the 4th game. Or maybe they did in the previous ones and we just didn't see it.
So from here, the Twilights, everybody's favorite, the
Wait,
epitaph
there's one
murders.
new character you're forgetting.
I was going to say, so everyone gets shot in the head. We talked about that. Or not everyone. 6 people do. It's Rosa, Ava, Hideyoshi, Genji, not Nanjo, Rudolph, and Natsui. Those 4 are all offed, and everybody's favorite new character, Gop, shows up and in her terrible fucking weird side tie titty dress.
She's just wearing a fucking like carpet.
She's kind of just wearing a piece of cloth that she has tied at her right side.
You just don't understand fashion.
I know, you're right. I don't understand fashion.
She cut a hole in the middle of and put her head through
dress in a classic style that just has one side cut out for extra booba.
I think is it one side?
It's just one side.
It's really fucked up. I thought it was 2 sides this whole fucking time until this motherfucking episode, and I realized, holy shit, it's just tied off on one side.
It's just one side.
It's so fucked up.
I think that's the worst outfit in the entire game.
It's amazing. It's my favorite outfit in the entire game.
It's from the trendy stores in, Demon Shinjuku or whatever she says,
yeah,
right?
the fucking mirror world.
Baby, the stars shine dark or whatever.
I want to ask a question. I don't know if anybody else got this, started questioning this, but they clearly make a connection between Renove and Genji.
Yep. Yeah, pretty strongly.
Who the fuck? My brain kept going, who's connected to Gap?
The only option is really
this?
Nanjo, which is extremely funny to think about.
Could be Goda.
I guess it could be
I was
Goda.
thinking because Virgilia and Renove are so obviously tied to Kumasawa and Genji, my thought at the time, back in the olden days when I was first reading this, was that Gop was connected to Shannon. But
huge Gahangalungas.
There's not really anything explicitly to support that apart from
she has
the
a
previous
special
scheme.
fight
Canon
with
is trans.
George.
I guess Canon could be Gap.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Oh my god,
yeah.
Canon to Gop pipeline. Good for
This
her.
is how it happened.
Yeah, I love that for her.
Oh my god. So those are the new characters. Let's hit the highlights of the Twilights real quick because we've got a lot to talk about at the end of the game.
Highlights, yes.
Twilight highlights. What does everybody want to say? I see we've got a few written down here, but just go ahead and shout them off, and we can just kind of work through them real quick.
Hey, what was the part where Shannon and Canon start talking to each other about previous games? Yeah,
what the fuck was that?
What the fuck was that?
They are magic. They're furniture. They're fucking magic.
Kinzo did it
They
too.
just fucking break kayfabe, and they're like, well, I mean, at least we're getting knocked out early this time, or whatever.
What was it? Did Shannon say to Canon, yeah, you fucking really got last time? And
yeah.
Canon's like, shut up.
He said, I'm a moron.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so fucking stupid, which is great.
They just huddle in a corner, breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, they're like, usually at least one of us dies on the first Twilight. It's kind of weird which actually, I don't know that that's true because I think they have a perfect 50% rate for that being, because in episode 2, they both survive the first Twilight.
Yeah.
And then they do again here.
Well,
episode 3, both of them die.
Yeah, it would be 1 out of 3 that they survived if this is the 4th game and they don't know how it's going to go, right?
Yeah,
So I feel like that would be a fair assumption to make.
Mm-hmm. So the people who are dropped into pitfalls by Gop are held in a prison underneath fucking Kuadorian.
Secret mansion in the woods.
Ninja incidentally lets out that he knows a ton of shit that he probably shouldn't.
Yeah, maybe could we assume that Nanjo had some kind of knowledge of, as one of Kinzo's closest confidants, had some kind of knowledge of Beatrice being held here earlier and maybe assisted in some kind of upkeep? Maybe,
yeah, if he's a personal doctor, right?
Okay,
yeah.
I don't fucking remember. It's been a while since
I don't
read
think
this
he
book.
says specifically that he's he was taking care of Beatrice.
No, he doesn't.
If we look at this from the perspective of Kinzo's been dead the whole time, that means Nanjo's been lying about Kinzo's health the whole time. So Nanjo clearly doesn't have a problem lying for the Ushiromir family and doing whatever needs to get done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Kawabata proves later, that he ferried people back and forth. I think he mentioned Nanjo to that place, but I'm not certain.
He mentioned that medical supplies went back there. Yeah, but Nanjo knows about it. They fucking have everyone who's held in that little prison cell, which is a real fucking like rogues gallery of surviving adults. Kraus and Kyrie.
Oh my god.
Neither
These
of whom
two...
have really gotten a lot of spotlight yet.
Kraus and Kyrie are such a good team. It made me
like Kraus.
Yes.
Every single episode has had like what I would call a designated adult, and this episode's designated adult is Kraus and Kyrie, and they're so fucking funny together. I love them. They both see magic happening, and they're just like, I guess that's what's happening.
They're like, fuck, dude, I guess.
Fucking whatever.
I guess.
If it works.
They all break out, and they have a fucking chase scene through the tunnels.
Virgilia.
Leading to with Virgilia, who is in hot pursuit.
She's
Shannon
very
and
capable.
Cannon jam the Cheester sisters, using like fucking magical spirit interference. Kraus has his fucking legendary standoff with Goat-kun, and he wins only by because Goat-kun sets a bunch of loser flags, which
She gets
multiplies
really
Kraus's
meta
power
with
level.
Virgilia around. She's talking a lot and she fucks it up.
It's
for everyone.
it's so fucking funny because it's just that fucking Scott Steiner promo, just like, you see, normally you'd only have a 25% chance of beating me in a 4-way
literally
match,
it.
but when you factor in the...
I'm a freak of nature.
Yeah, the cross counter multiplies by this much, but the double cross counter multiplies it by even more. And
Oh my god.
yeah,
I felt like
and
I was
it's
fucking
just,
watching a
it's
shonen
so,
anime.
It's so
The numbers don't lie. They spell disaster for you at Kumadori.
Mhm. So that stuff all happens, obviously, because everyone's around and acknowledges it. It's not magic. Magic is not employed in Kraus's fucking cool cross counter with a goat. That's just raw. That's just fucking knowledge. That's just game mechanics right there.
That's logic power.
Yeah.
I know it. I feel like that is magic. It's. I feel like a lot of this episode was also about like how the Shiromir family has access to magic. They just don't fully get it. Like there was a part where George and Shannon are fighting, like Renove
Yeah.
and Gap.
George and Jessica.
George and Jessica, yeah.
Did I say Shannon? Whatever.
Yeah.
George and Jessica are fighting them, and they, after being in the zone, they're like exhibiting auras that the magic folk are like,
Yeah,
oh fuck,
totally.
magic. And Kraus versus what we've been calling Goat-kun, this reminded me a lot of Kinzo, aka the Goldsmiths, like style of magic, which was using math
Yeah,
to create
probability.
impossible
Sure.
situations
Okay.
to
That's
guarantee
not
a
such
miracle.
a bad idea.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so while that is happening, this all pretty much happens over one very extended chapter, like one or two.
The fight scene chapter,
Yeah,
which I
the
love,
fu-
of
like,
course.
just-
It looks cooler than ever.
I do want to take a second to say, hey, it fucking sucks how Jessica is treated in this fight sequence versus how George is, where George is super cool and completely control everything.
No, Jessica.
And Jessica is just... She tries to be, but anytime where she actually is about to make any progress, Renove resets it, and she doesn't get to be cool.
No, she's doing amazing. No, she does awesome. Are you kidding me? George just sort of gets thrown around and jumps around. He has one kick, and he's like, haha, I could kill you, but I won't, and then he dies about it. So George sucks still.
But that's one more kick than Jessica gets to land.
Jessica, in the meantime, is leveling up her gear. She gets all the
she's beating
enchantments.
herself to death.
She's leveling up
that's
her gear.
Renove's
She gets
counter.
all the upgrades.
I think Jessica had a way cooler scene than George.
Yeah, I agree.
personally.
I'm just saying, I think the story treats George as a lot cooler in the scene than Jessica.
I think so. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, God's on my side.
Oh, that's not okay. Well, I like Jessica's scene a lot. I think what it shows is the differences in the way they approach problems. So George and Jessica both get confronted with they're holed up in the guest house, and they get a call from Kraus, who is relaying instructions from Kinzo, purportedly, telling them to go to specific places to have a test to determine whether or not they are fit to succeed the Ushiromia headship. And the test is they're like handed a slip of paper essentially, and it says, from the three below, sacrifice 2 to gain 1, and it's your life, your beloved's life. For George, it's Shannon, and for Jessica, it's canon.
It's the other way, by the way. It's sacrifice 1 to gain 2.
Okay, that's it. Sacrifice 1 to gain 2. You're right. Excuse me. To gain 2, sacrifice 1. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. And the last one is everyone else's lives. So they have their little fucking moment where they over-explain their logic. Jessica's is really weird because she gives this kind of speech about like, yeah, you can sacrifice me and canon and everyone else can keep living. But the canon, oh my God, I forgot. The canon, no, canon isn't your name. The real canon inside of canon. Tell that canon to live. I lose my mind. I go insane transgender moments. Oh, fuck. Baby. In my dreams.
She decides to live before getting slam dunked down.
Totally getting, totally killed.
Down a hole.
And then after doing all of that, Jessica says, anyway, that was my answer as a maiden. My answer as the Ushirimiya family head is fuck you, and she starts punching Renove. I like because George is all about counterattacks, is all about like flipping the situation back around onto Gap. He has been preparing for at least the past, I don't know, year or so, the last several months, to confront his entire family about, hey, I'm going to marry Shannon, and like there's nothing you can say about it, and like, you know, we're going to do this. And I think that reflects the way that George is just more prepared to have this fight because he's been thinking about it all this time. But what Jessica lacks in preparation, she makes up for in just raw fucking, I have fists and I am going to punch the ever-loving fuck out of you.
And not only do I have fists, but I also have fancy footwork too.
Yeah, and she's much more about that very direct, very head-on, very like, I will keep going and going and going with all of my strength until I get there, where George is more about like, I just need to land one precise strike and I will succeed or whatever.
Well, I still don't think it's very cool because he fucking doesn't.
Okay, he does.
Yeah,
he keeps trying. Don't you know? A foot that lands an inch away from someone's face is more powerful than a foot. You know, that whole fucking shit.
Things said moments before exploding into blood.
God.
Shoutouts to Jessica for just doing a JoJo Ororo for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it
was
fucking
so
minutes.
cool. George just made a fucking fool of himself. And
of
Jessica's
course,
being cool.
The prestige, the twist is that Gap and Renove send George and Jessica's final attacks at each other and they kill each other.
And Jessica, in Battler, hears Jessica acknowledge this, or something like this. Jessica says on the phone into Battler's own ear,
"Hey man, I'm gonna die."
She says that was a fatal blow.
She knows that George is dead. She says that was a fatal blow, and then fucking Battler hears like a fucking, what is it? I think it says something like a horrible noise over the thing, and then like, you know, the line doesn't hang up.
She
but
says,
the line just,
"I'm already
goes silent.
dead," because Jessica ostensibly dies, and then Renove respects her so much he brings her back to life to make one last call. So she calls Battler and says, "I'm already dead. Haha, when you see me, half my face will be missing." And then there's a horrible noise. Weird shit.
And then that basically happens again with the people in the dungeon make their jailbreak. They get to the mansion, but then the Chester sisters reboot and fucking start killing all of them one by one. First Cannon, then Shannon, then Kraus, or then Nanjo, then Kraus, or something like that.
Oh shit, we never see Cannon.
No, we don't.
Yep.
Yeah, his corpse
And here's
drops
the thing,
down into the
we
into
never
the well.
do in like any game.
No.
Except for the first one.
No, in one.
But in 2 and 3 and 4, he's, I think, gone in all of those.
Well, in 4 they find his, in 3 they find his corpse in the chapel. Like, you know, the adults all see it, and like we learn
was
that
part of the
Cannon is
sealed room.
dead. Yeah. But I
2
mean,
and
if
4?
I want to play by your rules for a second, I guess none of the cousins, and certainly Battler, our purported detective, does not see it. So you can, I don't know.
There's some interesting stuff going on with
I'm just
Cannon's
thinking
death.
how in 2 he literally gets teleported away after he's killed in the room to make it more confusing. And in 4 he drops down the thing, which mysteriously has a grate on it.
Yeah.
After everyone, including Kinzo,
Excuse
is dead.
me, Anna. It's what happened to it's magic. my one fucking friend in this
No,
whole
I still
magic.
believe in magic. That's why I'm saying that I have to think of things harder in terms of the real than in terms of magic, because it's very easy to say that it's just magic, because it is.
Yeah, Beatrice did that.
Look at Gap. You want to look me in the eyes and tell me Gap doesn't exist?
You want to tell me that? You want to tell me that thing, that outfit isn't magic?
Don't call her a thing. She's Gop.
My only problem with the conversations about anti-magic is it means that a lot of the characters that I love aren't real, and I'm just like, that sucks.
Hey,
It does
you know
suck.
what? I'm just going to take a second to say this because we don't mention this a lot. None of these people are real.
Shut up. Hey,
Goddamn
okay,
you.
when I say
Shut
that
the
in
fuck
episode
up.
2, I'm
Beatrice is
fucking
real,
crazy.
real and true and my friend.
No, you don't.
And I will accept the
No,
entrance
that's
to the Golden
correct.
Lands.
That's the right way to look at it. It's not that these characters aren't actual characters who influence us and are, in a sense, that way real. It's just that none of these are real-ass people. These are still characters who don't exist in the real world, and they are as real as you want them to be.
Matt, I love you, but I'm gonna swing at you with my red sword of truth now, and this might take us into the next part. But Battler isn't fucking real either, apparently.
No, I know. I'm saying everyone's not real. It's a fucking video game.
So okay,
Why does
well,
Matt get to
yes,
say
the
that?
power of fiction.
Oh, come on. We're all mature here. We're past that.
No, I
Yeah,
think
we did that in
real.
episode 2, man.
So Kyrie does the same thing that Jessica does, where she calls Battler and is like, "Hey, I'm probably about to die. There's a big golden snake, and its eye hit between my legs. It hit next to my ear." And
Kyrie.
Battler eventually finds her corpse, and there are holes that match.
I hate it
those
when a big golden
locations.
snake hits me between the legs. I'm
Just-
sorry.
Just the word.
Let's edit that out. Can we edit that one out?
No, that one has to. It's gotta stay in.
I hate it when a big old snake hits me between the legs.
And then, but okay, shut up. We're getting to the best fucking part of this this game of on the game board is Battler hangs up, like runs out of the room to go save Kyrie, and then the phone rings again, and Maria picks it up, and then Battler takes it from Maria, and it's motherfucking Beatrice. Beatrice on the game board talking to Battler.
It's so confusing.
Says, hey Battler, what's up? Congratulations.
She is wasted.
She's fucking blasted off of her ass, and she invites Battler out to his trial, and Maria goes off to do hers. And finally, on the game board, not above the game board, not like Kyrie catches her in a glance going up the stairs, not fucking Canon fights her right before getting impaled. It's fucking on the game board, face to motherfucking face, Battler and Beatrice finally at last. And Beatrice, again, blasted off of her ass, presents Battler with the same choices that everybody else had from the 3 to gain 2, sacrifice 1, except the lover spot is blank because Beatrice says, well, we didn't know who you liked, so, we'll just leave that one blank.
Battler says this is bullshit.
Oh yeah, I love you, Beatrice, and I am more than happy to sacrifice you. See ya.
Yeah, why don't I put your name here? And Beatrice is like, oh, please, basically. Blonde and bouncy is best. Am I not the epitome of your ideal? Or something she says. I love her. Oh, I love her.
Everyone
blondes
knows you
and
love
blondes.
big fucking titties, Battler.
Mhm. Well, Beatrice
Name
knows
one
enough
time
to
I
say
mentioned that.
Oh God. So they have this back and forth, and eventually Beatrice says, "Okay, well, I'm going to administer your real test," and she the drunkenness kind of falls away, and she gets very regal, and she says, like, "I am Beatrice, the Shiromiya family alchemist, and Battler, you must recall your sin. You must repent. You must repent for your sin," or something to that effect. And Battler, kind of trying to figure out what she's talking about, kind of talks about, well, it was kind of shitty that, like, I ran away from the family after what happened with Kyrie, but Rudolph, he was being shitty too, and, like, goes on this whole diatribe, and says, like, I won't repent because that sin doesn't have anything to do with you. And Battler says,
Beatrice is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes, Beatrice says, I don't care about any of that. Where are we? Rakenjima. There is a sin fitting for this place. And on and above the game board, it boots up to the meta world. Battler says, what the fuck are you talking about? And says, I have no idea what you're talking about. And Beatrice, her eyes incredibly fierce, but saying, this has nothing to do with me. I did not exist in your world at that point. Beatrice fucking so much happens in this scene. God.
Yeah, so Battler says, I don't know what you're talking about. Beatrice says, wasn't there something 6 years ago that happened here? Battler says, definitely there wasn't. And then it gets into a whole weird discussion about who Battler is, and that Battler did something wrong. And he says, I definitely didn't do something wrong. So Beatrice has him start repeating Red Truths, and he's like, oh, I can do Red Truths now. That's funny. I'm Battler Ushiromiya. Haha. How cute.
But wait, you're forgetting that Beatrice tag teams out with herself.
Mm-hmm.
Also weird.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up really quick. So Beatrice basically says to herself, so he can't remember, so are your regrets at an end? And then another Beatrice appears, and they talk with each other.
Yeah, it's the schoolgirl outfit, playful, drunken, cocky Beatrice who appears before Battler in the real world that Battler sees and hears with his own eyes and ears. And then it's replaced with stoic dress Beatrice, who we don't see on the game board.
No, we don't. She continues to wear her schoolgirl outfit there. And yeah, in this magical world, schoolgirl outfit Beatrice says, I'd like to be removed from the game board, and which Beatrice says, yeah, all right. And then, she gets disappeared. She tells Battler to run off to the chapel to check on Maria. And then Beatrice basically shuts down the game and says, I don't want to play anymore.
The end.
The end.
Yep, that's it. Umineko's over.
So at this, Lambda Delta and Berncastle and Angie, who, have all been playing this game or have been watching from the outside, show up and are like, you can't just end it. What? You can't just stop. And Beatrice says, yeah, the fuck I can. I don't have to end it. I just won't take my next turn. And the game will sit forever unfinished.
Sans trick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I want to know if Toby Fox read Umineko. It's a great question.
This is the part where basically Beatrice says, okay, well, I can't stop this game. What if this game was happening under false pretenses this entire fucking time? And she makes Battler recite Red Truths, which Battler's like, oh, cool, I can do this too, which is very cute. And Beatrice says, I am the Golden Witch Beatrice, and I opened this game in order to fight Ushiramiya Kinzo's grandchild, Ushiramiya Battler. And then she asks Battler to repeat the following. Ushiramiya Battler's mother is Ushiramiya Asumu. My name is Ushiramiya Battler. It was from Ushiramiya Asumu that Ushiramiya Battler was born. And this is all fine. And then Beatrice asks him to repeat. It was from Ushiramiya Asumu that you were born. And Battler, his throat catches because you can't say things in red that are not true. And Beatrice uses this as proof that this Battler in front of her is not the Ushiramiya Battler that she opened the game to fight with.
He is so fucking stupid. Sorry.
He's so fucking dumb.
I understand getting caught up in a moment and in getting a big revelation about your family that forced out of you like that, and forgetting that last names are passed patrilineally. So it doesn't matter who his mom is so long as his dad is Rudolph.
Exactly. Well, Angie has her head on fucking straight and summons him back later. But yeah, in this moment, Battler is so caught up in his identity crisis that he literally fucking fades my favorite fucking image in the world is this picture of Beatrice pointing at Battler and saying, your mom, and Battler fading from existence, because that's exactly what this scene is. It's so good.
There's some other crazy shit that happens right then, though, too. She says, Ushiramiya Rudolph was scheming for the past 6 years or more to have something happen at the banquet of 1986. And she says that in fucking red or in blue or some weird shit.
Actually, she doesn't. She says, 6 years ago, my opponent, the true Ushiramiya Battler, was already dead. You were a part of a plot by Rudolph having something to do with distribution of the inheritance. A body double set up in Ushiramiya Battler's place. She doesn't say that in red or in blue.
Okay.
And then Battler fucking in the middle of his identity crisis vaporizes. And Beatrice retreats to the Golden Land, and that sets us up for the end of this novel.
Yep,
Are we just gonna...
What do you want to say, Anna? No, let's keep talking about it.
This was the part that pissed me off, because this part I was truly fed up with on a personal level, not the game is difficult. This is some bullshit. Because if they're going to throw in shit, there was another fucking Battler at us, which I don't know if there was or wasn't. You could say it's just a technicality of Red Truths. He is the exact same battler, even though Asumu isn't his mom. Like they can't just keep putting in things that, like, there's a mysterious XT millionth person who we don't know. It's the same thing with the 4 letters, which we didn't even get into, but there's 4 letters that all of the grandchildren of the survivors get. They all have special money in them.
Just about to get into that. So
we're going to get into that. I have things to say about it.
I know, but I'm... Okay, whatever.
Please express.
I'm just the West. Who's the? We see 3 of them. We'll get into what all that means. I don't need to explain it. That's okay. But there's going to be a 4th one who we don't know. And the question is, who does this 4th letter that we're going to talk about go to? And it's like, it could be fucking anybody. We don't know. There's a million characters who we haven't met. Angie is mentioned briefly, and then she comes in to be like a whole thing, apparently. Some of these other people had kids we didn't even know about that are all plot important to Angie's journey, which we're about to get into. It's just like, you can't just keep adding on more shit and being like, we totally got you, because you could make up any number of circumstances if you're building up a whole edifice around something that you're shown. Like, it could look like anything. We can't possibly know. That's not a mystery you can solve.
That sounds like the theme of the game.
Yeah, but like, this is definitely Beatrice just fucking with Battler to get him because she doesn't want to play the game anymore, because, like, as we almost immediately afterwards establish, you can say, like, Battler says in Red that Angie is a sister. So, like, they're probably related, which means that, like, he is the Battler that he thinks he is.
But then Asumu isn't his mom and Kyrie isn't his mom. What?
No, there's nothing that says Kyrie is his mom.
Kyrie says she's not his mom.
Does she?
Yeah,
she does say that. Does she say it in Red?
Yeah, she doesn't say it in Red.
Does she say it in Red?
God, she's been lying about this as part of a plot. She hated.
So one thing that I want to
Asumu's.
I mean, who's got the theory? Who's someone?
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, Matt.
I'm going to jump in real quick. Okay. It is very, very important to keep in mind that these are the question arcs. All the information that we need is being presented within these 4 stories. We should be able to extrapolate everything else out beyond this, but until we reach the end of this, that should be all new information coming in.
Yes, the mysteries...
That would be necessary to solve it.
Not every single mystery can be solved, I think, but a lot of them can.
Yeah, my take is it is a well-established thing that Rudolph is a serial adulterer and or slept around with a whole fuckload of people when he was younger. So Battler could just have been someone else that he busted a nut into, other than Asumu and Kyrie. Like, that's not totally out of the question.
Isn't that so lame, though?
It is dumb, though. If it were anything, I'm assuming that he's also Kyrie's son, honestly. I don't know how that works, because, like, then everything regarding Kyrie's motivations and, like, her whole, like, envy scene in episode 3 makes a whole lot less sense if Battler is. Because then
again, see, episode 3 is discounted again. Another part of it that's irrelevant.
There is one other part that I totally agree on that's very strange, which is one of the red truths is Asumu's son is Yushirmiya Battler, and assuming we're following the genetic rule of that, then that would mean that she also, in addition to whoever Battler's real mother is, had a child named Battler. So there are 2 Battlers.
See?
You are right. There are 2 Battlers in play. The question is, what happened to
you're
Battler
right.
Alpha?
My earnest advice to everyone, and, you know, we'll get another crack at this, but my earnest advice is you should revisit the earlier question arcs, because now we have a lot of information that we did not then, and maybe some of these holes we can start threading. Cackle, cackle, cackle. The end of the game.
Just dump 80 more hours for the next episode, everyone.
Yep. God. Well, maybe some of this stuff. I mean, we don't have to. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Anyways, Beatrice abandons the game, retreats to the Golden Land, and, you know, all of that stuff. This is a pretty decent time, I think, to slot in Angie's detective adventure. We can't get too deeply inside of it right now because there is so much more to talk about, but Angie, after throwing herself off the roof and surviving through a miracle, thanks to Burncastle, that she did at the end of episode 3, she goes on a fucking vision quest. She talks to her good friend, leader of the Yoshiramiya group, Tetsuro Okonogi, everyone's favorite when they cry character. And she goes on a vision quest. She finds some stuff out. She finds out that there were 2 letters in a bottle, both of which match the handwriting in Maria's diary for Beatrice, even though they are signed Yoshiramiya Maria. She finds out that some of the children of the victims, namely Nanjo's son and Kumasawa's son, and herself, received letters with the same handwriting that matches Beatrice's handwriting, containing a key card and a pin, which is 07151129, the same series of numbers on the wall that Ava wrote down near the end of episode 3. And that if you take that key card and you take that pin and you go to the bank, some particular bank, you open basically a series of safety deposit boxes. There's about 20 of them in the room when Nanjo's son checks this out years ago. But his key card only lets him into one. And inside of that is about 1 billion yen in cash. There's 20 of these boxes. If each of them contains 1 billion yen in cash, that's about the value that George extrapolated for the gold. So fucking Beatrice has been up to some shit. Each of the 3 letters that we know about are addressed to the northernmost, southernmost, and easternmost, I think, points in Japan, which does leave a question: who received the letter for the westernmost point in Japan?
I think it's a 1, 2, 4 peg situation, to be honest. Because it's like, I have absolutely no idea who that 4th letter could go to. Like, I don't know who, like maybe the orphanage that, like, Kenzo's bankrolling, someone there, but that's such a, like, something that hasn't come up in such a long time. Huh? And I don't know who at that orphanage it would go to, right? But that's, like, the only thought I have on who it could possibly be, because that's, I feel like, the only remaining loose thread, like, Rokenjima adjacent survivor, right?
Could be Goda. His family.
Yeah.
Does Goda have family?
Maybe.
I think he doesn't have a wife, and I don't think he's ever fucked.
It's Goda's husband.
One of my theories is that Captain Kawabata is Goda's brother or husband.
Sure. Why not? Fuck it.
Man, Kawabata deserves better.
Yeah, Kawabata, come on. I hope he remarried.
Goda's okay.
No, he's not.
So following that, then is the thing Angie sees in Kawabata's shop like Kawabata's marriage certificate to Goda?
Okay, that is a great question. She sees some Angie in the ship captain who goes between Rokenjima and not Rokenjima, who was always responsible for transporting and helping with the weird Beatrice situation at Kuadorian, and for helping Kinzo and the whole Ushirimi family, is someone who Angie allies with to get onto Rokenjima for the end. And she sees something weird in his shop that makes her lose her mind. And she's like, is that magic? And neither the captain nor her horrible bodyguard can see it.
Stop being mean to Juza. He's fine.
He's not.
I don't think that it's a matter of they can't see it. I think it's whatever she's seeing appears mundane to them, and they don't see they don't understand what it is she's
Does
even looking
anyone
at.
have any theories? Please help
I have a
me.
theory, but I feel like I should hold it back.
I want to ask, why are some of y'all so hard on Amakusa?
I will get
He's
to
fine.
that. You want me to get into it right now? Is now the time?
I want to say my theory, and then it will be the time
let's do the
to
theories
talk
with the
shit
thing.
about Amakusa and also advance the plot. My theory is, okay, so Angie says, like, while looking at it and pointing at it, and no one else knows what she's pointing at, she says, this is it. This is my mission. This is what I have to do on Rakenjima, or something like that. Later, in the Golden Land, when Angie resurrects Sakutaro, Beatrice says, in red, she says, this is a world where magic that is not mine certainly cannot exist. And she says, in red, magic was not able to revive Sakutaro. My theory is that somehow, some way or another, I should pull up the exact red truth, Angie found another Sakutaro.
So Sakutaro was bought in a store, like I've been saying, in our fucking Discord server for a month.
Which has her delight.
It's gonna come off as so fake and lame right now, but I actually had the same thought of, what if she just saw another Sakutaro in his shop? That makes no sense. Why would I say that?
It does, because it fits within the red. Beatrice says, in red, she says, that is a special stuffed animal made by Rosa for her daughter's birthday, and in the entire world, the only... And she gets cut off. She gets cut off not during any of that earlier shit. Not during made by Rosa for her daughter's birthday. She gets cut off when she says, the only... She's trying to say the only one. Rosa either... Okay, so there are a lot of theories, I think, that can thread this needle.
Oh my god.
My pet theory is that Sakutaro is a pattern out of, like, a stuffed animal book, and through some fucking sheer goddamn miracle, there was another Sakutaro in there. Or maybe Rosa did like come up with Sakutaro and sewed her for her birthday, but maybe there was another one that was left with Kawabata for some reason. Like,
what if it was from all the days where they had gone when she was a kid, when they went between the island and the not island, and fucking like she had made it as a kid, and that's why it looked so wonky when she was a kid. But she fucking left it on the boat, and he kept it because he really loved the family, so it was like a keepsake from them.
What if Rosa felt horrible and remade Sakutaro unbeknownst to anyone, and left it on the boat or
I don't think
something?
that's true because I hate Rosa.
Well, yeah, sure. Hey, look, you can believe whatever
I hate
you want.
Rosa,
I'm just
and
saying,
I don't think she's capable of any good things.
there are
Oh my God.
there are a lot of theories that can thread this needle, but
Jen,
that's
this
what
is
I
amazing.
believe.
It being
Yes.
Sakutaro fucking rules, though. I didn't even think of that.
I'm saying it's got, because Angie has such a strong reaction to it, and so do her magical friends, but all of the other people, the people in the room, are fucking like, what the fuck are you talking about? I feel like the only thing that makes sense there, that makes any narrative sense at least, is it has to be somehow, some way Sakutaro is there.
Oh my god, that's what happened.
Magic, motherfucker.
Yeah, I imagine
Yes.
it's a situation where it's like it's a wall and there's a lot of stuffed animals on it, and she's
Mhm.
like, "You no fucking way," and
It's
they're
a
like,
sleep
"What?"
store or whatever, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, magic is real. And now, Anna, can you walk us through why?
And now it's time for magic to end. I'm sorry, I got one table punch and Jen, I couldn't help myself. I was
it has to happen
upset.
eventually. I understand.
Fucking Angie goes to Rokonjima with the ship captain whose love of the family is earnest and undying. And Amakusa, her lovable, wacky, Zaki bodyguard. Love to love him. He's a chill, fun guy. He's got a
Mhm.
go-getter
He's got some
attitude.
good perspectives on life, you know?
Yeah, he sure does. Lots of great life advice. Fucking, she goes to Rokonjima, walks across it. It's overgrown. She can't get to the Kuadorian or the mansion. Like, from the entrance that they take, things have overgrown and the place is deteriorated, so she can't, like, get to any of the houses. But she wants to pay respect to Maria and, like, the whole family, sort of through extension, with Maria as her connection to them. So she goes to the Golden Land, offers Sakutaro to Maria, who is healed, and zips away, and that makes Beatrice need to leave the Golden Land and go back to the board game, blah, blah, blah.
Right. But
On Rokonjima in 1998, she is approached by the villain of, like, Angie's detective story in
Yep.
the Afterworld has been Kasumi, her fucking weird aunt, who was
Yeah,
Kirie's younger
yeah.
sister, who had
Mhm.
being the head of her weird fucked up rich family foist upon
Yeah.
her, and she's hateful about it, and her thing is torturing and having bodyguards and killing people and torturing them. So she shows up with her bodyguards, she says, haha, I found you, and jeez Louise, and Ange did not take Amakusa with her because she wanted it to be a private thing because of the anti-magic toxin, had to be able to reach Maria. All the stakes are there with her. She's had her piece. Kasumi shows up, starts tearing pages out of Maria's diary and saying horrible things, and then she's like, okay, now it's time for you to die. And Angie says, magic is real. I know it's real. Stakes, protect me, kill these bodyguards. And one by one, the bodyguards die. The stakes pierce their foreheads in true stake fashion, and they die. In front of her,
It's a
in the
great
real
scene.
world. Kasumi sees this happen and is like, what the fuck is going on? But she doesn't see the stakes. Only Angie sees the stakes. Everybody, all these bodyguards die. Last but not least, Kasumi dies because she pulls out a gun. And Angie says, I forgive you, and I'm going to free you from your misery. I don't resent you. I'm not killing you because I hate you. I'm killing you because there's no saving you from the trauma of your past. It's like a sort of healing of what Maria went through. It's like a direct foil to that. And so she kills Kasumi with Mammon, I believe. You know, her dearest of stakes. And
Yeah, her
Kasumi
gal
does
pal.
die in the real world, and then Eva comes back as the Black Witch, and she forgives Eva too, and Eva's gonna shoot her, but then one of them jams the gun, and Eva's gun explodes, and then she's like laying there on the ground bleeding out, this weird ghost, evil Eva person.
Can't catch your breath.
So magic is real. Magic has allowed Angie to heal Maria's trauma, to forgive the people who hurt her in her life and end some more cycles of trauma, to reach Eva beyond the grave and forgive her and end her suffering too. And then at the very last second, the last thing we see or hear at all in the world of 1998, you're thinking, finally, Angie has some closure. I wonder what it looks like in Kuadorian. She says something like, finally, it's over. The screen goes
again.
black. We don't see you again next time or whatever. The screen goes full black. We don't see any sprites. And in English, someone says, cool. And there is a gunshot sound, and that is the end of 1998. Amakusa kills fucking Ange in cold blood. If you are willing to not believe magic, the explanation is that Amakusa, for whatever reason, killed all these bodyguards and Kasumi so that he could kill Angie and later fucking claim that it was these people who did it and he didn't show up in time, but he killed them as retribution or whatever. He inherits the fortune. He fucking pisses off.
Well,
After all of this time
Why would he inherit the
protecting her,
fortune?
Amakusa fucking kills Angie in the back in cold blood. That is why I hate Amakusa. This
I
cool
think that's a
character
fairly
who's the only
reasonable
person
theory.
who she trusts. At the start of this episode, the first thing you learn in the first scene is Angie's like, I need to learn to trust other people. I'm going to trust whatever his name is with the ponytail and Amakusa. I'm going to trust them. And Amakusa
Okanogi.
fucking kills her for it. Fuck that guy.
fuck that guy. He is pointed out to have a big golf bag that he carries with him, and it, he says in so many words, it is full of fucking guns.
And his tip says he's good at counter sniping.
Mm-hmm.
So it's entirely reasonable that he sniped the people that were being killed by the stakes. And that would probably have a similar wound.
Well, think about it. From this situation, who would benefit? It wouldn't be if everybody vying for the Ushiramiya fortune, or the person who has it, but is tying up certain technicalities for the business side. Wouldn't the business side be incentivized to make it look like everything just kind of went bad?
Okanogi.
Fuck those
Fucking
guys.
Okanogi.
Evil. What I'm saying.
So in the tips section, there are these little pages where you can see all the characters, and it kind of relates to the sort of the three protagonists, the three timelines. Like there's the game board, the 18 people on the island, and then there's like the magic side, like what Maria and Beatrice, everyone on Beatrice's sort of magic zone, and then there's the stuff from Angie's future. Every new character, their character portrait is a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, that's fun,
But
isn't it?
Amakusa Juza, he has a full body model.
Yeah, dog.
What's that about?
Amakusa
That's not
popular.
in the PS3
Amakusa hot
release.
fuckboy.
What was that about the PS3 release?
The PS3 releases full bodies for every single character.
Yeah,
introduced.
everybody gets full bodies in that one. Just another way it's worse.
I think this is putting a greater importance on him compared to the other characters that got introduced, because he's got the full body sprite.
From this, Angie learns the truth behind magic, that magic is love, sadness, and anger. And she goes on, she resurrects Sakutaro, we said this. She breaks the universe between Maria and Beatrice, because it takes two people to create a universe. And Angie makes Maria promise that if she can revive Sakutaro, that, that Maria will leave. And so Beatrice is thrust back to the game board. Lambda Delta locks a shackle around her foot and says, ha ha ha, oh, bestie, you can't get away anymore. And Beatrice, Angie, Berncastle finds Battler from, out in the fucking sea of fragments. Angie sacrifices herself by breaking the rule that Lambda Delta imposed on her to never tell Meta Battler that she was Angie, and she fucking falls apart and dies, turns into hamburger. And Battler's fighting spirit is restored because he knows he has to break the witch's curse so he can go back to his family and be there for Angie and save everyone. And Beatrice is in a real rough spot at this point. She's talking to herself. We finally get internal narration from Beatrice, and she's talking about I used to believe that I could win this game, but no longer can I fight this. No longer can I do this. Was I doomed to lose this entire time? All I'm going to be doing from here on out is fighting to lose. I can't win. And she says, well, there is a composure that is befitting me at this time. And she puts on the mask. She says, ha ha ha, cackle cackle, and they go to their final fight. This is the end of the proper Alliance of the Golden Witch proper. What comes next is the Tea Party. And we get this long extended sequence of Game Board Battler. The confrontation with Beatrice happened exactly on midnight on October 4th into October 5th. So we get this sequence where Battler walks around all of Rakenjima. He's got 24 hours. He investigates stuff. He kind of tries to pry open the grate that people had left the tunnels to Kuwadorian from, but he can't. Even so, Beatrice confirms Cannon's death in red, so we know that he is dead. And 1 minute to
because
midnight.
Kinzo was dead the whole time.
And with 1 minute to midnight, the world stops, and Battler and Beatrice have their big final fucking logic battle where they're slinging fucking red and blue back in fucking quick succession. This is where the stuff about Kinzo comes out, and Beatrice concedes defeat on Kinzo and says, Kinzo is dead at the start of every game board, but I will lower what I said earlier. There are no more than 17 people on this island. So Battler does not get his free person that he wanted. And they have this fucking, like, knockdown argument back and forth where for the first time, the blue truth is, like, rendered as something that is actually attacking Beatrice. We haven't explained the blue truth, have we, this entire time?
No.
Blue truth is a thing you can use to propose theories, essentially.
Let me just run it back really, really quick. Okay, so at the start of it, Battler's like, well, I'm going to use your red truths against you, Beto. And she goes, no, you're not. I'm going to use, like, no red truths, so suck it. Feel free to think of whatever you want to. And then he's given eventually the consolation prize of blue truths, where he can propose things that must be answered by Beatrice by the end of the game. Angie pushes for that. She also hangs around for a minute to be like, hey, I'm going to be called Gretel, and I'm going to help you out. And she hangs around for about an hour and then just fucks off the remaining, like, day and a half of it. She can't handle when Rosa is showing what appears to be genuine affection to Maria, because it contradicts what she knows of their relationship so aggressively.
Yeah, mood.
So she leaves and goes on her entire story that we've talked about this entire time, and just kind of shows back up to go, Battler, don't give up, and then dies.
Yep.
I mean, she was important.
And she's
to
a
us.
piece. She accepts her place as a piece, as something that exists to be sacrificed and used to further a bigger game.
I did not interpret her as actually leaving and doing the like future.
I don't think she actually leaves.
I think that was just happening in parallel, or it happened before she entered the game board.
It's a narrative device. I think the actual timeline that we're supposed to accept is she dives off that roof. Bernkastel allows her to go onto her little detective thing. She dies on Rakenjima, and then Bernkastel plucks her back from the moment of death and says, okay, now you're going to go bust through that window and do all that stuff that she does at the end of episode 3. And then it's just, she's there for the game. That just continues on linearly from there. The coexistence of the narratives is just a narrative device to tell the story.
Yeah, but Matt, I got the same impression you did, that, like, basically she's so pissed off that she fucks off and the adventure happens. That's how it read to me, too.
Yeah, I think that's the emotional, I think that is totally the emotional truth of that kind of juxtaposition.
One other quick thing that I want to say is, while we are talking about how great it is that Maria was able to find her own happiness and everything, that is contrasted with a scene early on in episode 1 where we see everyone hanging out outside, and then Rosa comes up and just starts mercilessly beating her child, and George just goes like, well, we should leave him to it.
Yep.
And everything, because it's a parallel between it's like George already has the mindset that we have looking back on Maria of, well, she can handle it, she's fine with it, but that's not how it should be, because this is not looking back in the past, this is not looking at it from that greater scale look of it and everything, this is looking at a child being hurt by a parent, and you need to step in and help them. It's so wildly important.
Totally.
I disagree with your take on that. Like, I agree with the sentences and the feelings, but I don't think George is going, oh, Maria can handle it. I think he's going, not my fucking business. I'm not getting involved.
I read that scene more as, like, George also has a really fucked up relationship with his family, and, like, it's so normalized among the Shiramiyas to have, like the fucking Kinzo, like, literally, like, beats his kids and grandkids with swords and shit. It's just normal for them.
Exactly. I think, George's perspective is that, and also because of that, it's like, what are we going to do? Like, we can step in and do that, but then what happens? Like, does Rosa just start, like, beating us? Does she hit Maria harder later because we stepped in? Like, you can say, like, I agree that something should be done, but that moment is present. It is so present, and its presence in its presentness in that narrative makes it.
I think it's a very important.
It would be
thing
nice if
to-
it was so cut
yeah.
dry, and in a sense, it is so cut and dry. But there are also all of these built up and fake contingencies that hold people back in that moment.
I want to talk about Battler's sin.
Yeah, now why not? Why not right now? Let's hear it.
Okay, so my guess on what it was is that when Battler was 12, he saw something he shouldn't have, and he either repressed it or just didn't realize that like something bad was happening. And because he didn't do anything about it, that started the snowball that led to the Rakajima massacre. That's what I'm guessing his sin was. I don't know what he could have seen.
Oh, so you're saying that this is like another kind of that sort of repression thing where
Yeah, similar to Angie having either forgotten or repressed. Yeah, that she had, denied magic.
Did Angie repress that, or did she just forget it because it didn't matter to her?
Yeah.
I think that's an important difference.
Something small happened that did not even register as important to Battler, but was like life-changing to whoever Beatrice is, if she isn't just Beatrice.
I sent Kebs the dumbest message in the world, and she was just like, okay, the fuck are you talking about? And I had to elaborate. So, in the movie Street Fighter, there's a scene where...
Okay.
Yes, please keep going.
There's a scene where Chun-Li comes up to M. Bison and is like, finally, I'm gonna get revenge on you for killing my parents. He's like, I'm sorry? And she's like, you murdered my parents in the village of blah, blah, blah. And he's like, look, I'm gonna be real with you. The day that Bison graced your village may have been the most important day of your life, but for me it was Tuesday.
For me it was Tuesday, that fucking meme. It's also there's also the Batman meme.
But it's more a matter of whatever Battler saw meant nothing to him, but it meant the world to the person who he saw or who he did it to. It could have been the smallest action, it could have been the smallest inaction. The only thing we know about 6 years ago is that it's when his mom, in quotes I guess, died.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say that Asuma is still his mom, even if, like, biologically she isn't, like...
No, I know, but we're kind of speaking biologically because the episode is a bit focused on actual blood relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole fucking series is so caught up in the Ushiramiya family, yeah.
All of magic-related tips in some of the earlier episodes about any of the Ushiramiyas was, this one's got the black blood of Kinzo, and I'm just like, what
great.
the fuck
I love
does
all
that
that
mean?
stuff so much.
What about the second saddest part of the whole book?
Wait, what's the second saddest? Because I'm pretty...
Jen, you take it. This one's yours.
I'm taking us to the first saddest right now, okay?
First saddest?
First saddest.
I know what the
one.
first saddest is.
Okay. So in the tea party, Battler and Beatrice are having their fucking logic battle, and Beatrice says, okay, you got me. I can't fight anymore.
She gives up on every game. She doesn't even fight back hardly at all.
She says Beatrice is essentially reduced to having to fight about showings of magic. Like when Beatrice restored Maria's lollipop or whatever in episode 2, like they're fighting over that kind of shit, not the closed room, not like the number of people on the island. And Beatrice is just so worn down. She says this was a game without victory from the very beginning, so it was only natural that the day of my defeat would come. After all, I had a certain willpower on my side, an unwavering desire to win with certainty. However, I've now lost that miracle completely, and that certain willpower resides in Battler, leaving me certainly without even a 1 in a million chance at a miracle. Or perhaps I should say I've been left without a miracle or certainty. And so
weirdly specific wording
and
here.
Burn. Yeah, fuck you, Lambda, Delta, fuck you, Burn Castle.
I want to draw attention, like, the conclusions Beatrice is making here with the conclusions we made about Beatrice in the last episode of this podcast. Because we talked about last episode about how we think that Beatrice is not trying to win, right?
Yeah, Lambda Delta accuses that of her, of like, you could have totally cornered Battler here, but you didn't.
I think we saw her play her card this episode. Her goal is not to win. Her goal... Think of it this way. Beatrice teaches Maria to kill people over and over in your mind until they repent for their sin. What if the person doesn't know that they've sinned? What if that person can't apologize for it because they don't know what it is? What happens then? Your game never ends. That's what happens.
Beatrice says when she's accusing Battler, she says forgetting that is your sin. And so now if Beatrice is left without any fucking hope at all, I am fighting only to be killed by Battler. And, Beatrice says, like, basically just kill me. And Battler says, I won't accept that. You're lying to me. You're not playing the game right now. Didn't I tell you I won't run away, and I won't let you run away? Just who are you, and what in the world is it what you want? And so Battler basically pulls Beatrice back from the brink in the name of, of Angie, and also in the name of Beatrice, this opponent he's been fighting for 4 games, and says, no, this isn't fucking over yet. You're holding back on me. Don't hold back. And Beatrice says, I've had enough of being made into a witch's plaything. And so she fucking, God damn it, she puts on the mask one more time, and like the most tortured expressions playing across her face through this entire thing, where they have one more logic battle and go back and forth, and Battler says, it was small bombs, I don't know. Like, Battler's just throwing out the most twisted logic in the world, and Beatrice just berates him and says, all right, dude, yeah, fuck yeah, that works, why not? And like builds to this fucking fever pitch until she is like skewered up into the air by all of the blue truths, like suspending her, in the Rose Garden, in the Golden Land, where they're having this fucking fight. And she fucking breaks down. She totally breaks down, like, for real, as Battler solves or presents his solution to Nanjo's murder from episode 3, which is still kind of the trickiest wicket for this entire, for all of the games. And she's like, please kill me. God damn it. It hurts so much and I can't die. Please, please, please kill me. And Battler believes her because she's crying, but the cries have the red of truth mixed in with them. And then Beatrice lays everything bare. She holds up 2 hands, but one of them drops before she can give her final magic, and she presents her final mystery. I will now kill you, and right now there is no one other than you on this island. Nothing outside the island can interfere, and of course, I am not you. And yet, I am here now, and I am going to kill you. Who am I? And the fucking ending music kicks up. Discode, the best fucking ending that this series has had so far. And Battler says,
small bombs.
Small bombs. And Battler says, I'll solve this mystery. And his piece leaves, the clock strikes midnight and turns over to October the 6th. And his piece leaves the game board. Umi fucking Neko.
2 of them disappear together. He like embraces her or something, or like hand in hand or whatever, and they like disappear off of the game board together. And it's so, she doesn't say who am I, she says who am I.
Watashi wa dare. So this isn't something we would get as non-Japanese speakers, but Beatrice, through this entire series, has been using the personal pronoun warewa, I believe, which is like very pompous and formal and archaic sounding. It makes her sound very full of herself. But her final question, she doesn't use that. She says watashi, which is more neutral and like kind of standard Japanese. She says watashi wa dare. Who am I? That's pulled out a... And then they leave the game board, and it's fucking great. It's great. I love this series so fucking much. Who am I? The last fucking mystery. The last fucking mystery. The one mystery of this entire fucking series that we've been asking since episode fucking 1. Who is Beatrice? That's the mystery. That's the mystery at the core of every single bit of this. Who is she?
She's
doesn't
Battler.
know.
She's not. She is not.
She's not Battler. She's set in red.
No, okay, but we just spent a lot of time trying to prove that there were 2 Battlers.
That's an interesting theory. You're saying Beatrice is this other battler?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
I
That's
have
intense.
to say a wild thing.
No, that's good. That is in the the spirit
That's
of
it.
Umineko.
We
Yeah,
solved
just say
it. We
some
solved
shit.
the whole question arcs.
Oh my god. I love this ending. I love this whole book so far. I mean, I love the part that comes after this too. But
Now fuck the part that comes after this.
no, it's great. So the part that comes after this, Berncastle and Lambda Delta are playing around in some fucking fragment deep, like fucking fragment number 400 quadrillion somewhere. And Lambda Delta says, oh yeah, all that shit Battler said, all the things that Beatrice conceded to, totally fucking wrong. Battler didn't solve fucking shit. And Berncastle and Lambda Delta essentially like make a pact Bernkastel says, yeah, I'll fight to defeat Beatrice. And Lambda Delta says, yeah, I'll fight to preserve the stalemate, to, keep you locked up, Bernkastel, because they are evil, terrible lesbians.
Yeah.
They're
And
horrible.
I have
sleepovers.
opinions.
Well, they say a miracle will certainly not occur. And then you see fucking evil faces. Bernkastel gets a new face for like the first time, and it's like this horrible fucking laugh. And
Evil
then that's it.
smile. Yeah.
That's the question arcs. Okay, Caelum.
So the first 3 episodes thinking that like Bernkastel, like Lambda Delta was being kind of weird and stalkerish to Bernkastel, but at this point, fuck it. These two deserve each other.
Oh yeah.
This is
fair
just
enough.
their weird courtship, I guess.
When you're infinite gods of certainty and miracles, it's fun to fuck each other around, so to speak.
Boredom is the worst thing that can happen to a witch, and so
That's
anything
true.
to stave
That's
off boredom.
That's from episode fucking 1.
So Lambda Delta will keep this game going for as long as possible. She will not allow Beatrice to win. She'll just keep the game going, keep getting these ties so that, neither of them, neither Bernkastel nor Lambda Delta, are bored.
You should bring up the thing that you said over break.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really cool. I think we should talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anyone's heard of the video game Undertale,
No,
What?
I've never heard about it.
Who?
So in the video game Undertale, you can play through the game like a video game and have a good time. Or you can be someone who wants to get 100% and mine all the content out of the game and uncover every stone and learn every mystery and learn everything about every character in the game. The game doesn't reward you for wanting to be that kind of player. In fact, it calls you out as someone who wants to disrupt a world that has its natural mysteries, that has loose ends that lead to more fullness to it. And that is represented by the character known as Kara, which is not really a character. It's you, the player, and it's a reflection of you as the player. That's all that character really is.
The completionist mindset, the gamer need to... What does it mean to be something that is picked apart fully and completely and dissected down to an atom and laid across a fucking science table?
And that's Burn.
Yep.
Down to her very core, that is Burn. She wants to find out everything, solve every mystery, just violate the privacy and the secrets of every person she can so she knows everything.
She knows every possibility of every fragment.
That's her whole thing, is she goes through every single dead end until she finds the way out. Yeah, exactly. So this goes back to where Undertale is playing on notions of like kind of video game players or especially RPG players. Umineko is playing on mystery novel readers and the questions. What does it mean really to solve a mystery?
I feel vindicated.
Who decides what a mystery is? It's not the culprit. The culprit never sets up the mystery. It's always the detective who decides there's a mystery here that needs solving. And who are you solving it for? And what are your goals? And what is that? What is it to be a mystery novel? Or not just a mystery novel, like not just so explicitly only about the genre, but yeah, even broader, like what is it to violate that privacy? To when someone says, when Maria says, I am happy in this moment. Who are you to deny my happiness? What is it to deny that happiness? To deny Maria her own agency in her own story and say, no, I have uncovered your true emotional state at this moment.
There is one objective truth, and I am going to find it.
Mm-hmm. And Lambda Delta is, she's the person. I mean, Lambda Delta is literally chained Beatrice to the game board at this point and says, no running away. Face your fate, which Beatrice herself says is to lose eventually, that this is not a game that she can win.
Second saddest part of the whole thing.
Boy, you can't wait to read episode 5 and see what
Motherfucker.
happens to that one.
Well, it would be great to go to episode 5 after this, wouldn't it?
Yep.
But before we get there, we have been neglecting a couple of odds and ends, a couple of tips that have accumulated on the edges of our reading experiences. Ryukishi released a series of pamphlets at certain events that include canonical stories that kind of expand the world of Umineko a little bit, give us a couple of details that might be interesting, and most importantly, lend us a couple more clues to solving Beatrice's final mystery. So, we will be reconvening next episode to do that, to piece through a couple of the bonus materials available to us so far at the end of episode 4, and also to put our final theories into the box and make our final guesses before we enter Umineko no Nakukoro ni Chiru, the answer arcs. Please look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And after that, I don't know, more Umineko.
Ooh, Kebs.
Yes.
Real quick. Tell the rest of this group the alternate names for the question arcs and the answer arcs.
Oh, right. Oh, I don't remember. So in the English-speaking fandom, they're known as the core arcs, as opposed to the answer arcs, because maybe they don't give you answers, but they are about the core of the mystery. But I found out while I was researching this that the core arcs is not actually an official term that is used by 7th expansion. They had something else they called it.
Suffering arcs?
The cooler Daniel.
So Higurashi answer arcs are called Higurashi Kai. Kai meaning solution, translating to solution. Umineko Chiru is the name of these answer arcs, where Chiru means scattering.
Oh.
That's it. They're officially these are referred to as the unraveling arcs by 7th expansion.
Oh,
not
I don't
the
like
answer
that.
arcs.
I don't like those implications.
Well-
Look forward to it.
I'm not.
Boy, I can't wait.
Well, I think that's that's all the time we've got. I'm very surprised we managed to get all of this in under our recording time limit. There's some more stuff we could have touched on, but maybe we'll get around to it next episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, you can find us at Golden Truths Pod on both Twitter and Tumblr, on the internet at goldentruths.net. And you can send us emails if you are listening to this, if you're listening to this. But if there's something you want to say, some theory you want to float, or just something you want me, because I'm the person managing this inbox, if there's something you want to tell to me and I can disseminate to the group, you can do that at goldentruthspod@gmail.com.
Please send us emails.
Please send us
I
emails.
would love to see an email.
Fan mail.
I am planning to, by the time the answer arcs roll around, we should be synced up in terms of our release schedule, so you can send us emails and they will actually come to us and we will talk about them instead of them going into the void of the past, which is what they've been going into so far. Where can everybody find you, Caelum?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm HiveHum. Otherwise, you can't find me.
Mystery. No, unknowable. Where can people find you,
Who am
Izzy?
I?
Who am I? Where can people find you, Izzy?
I'm Izzy Times Stream. One big long word on Tumblr and Twitch. I stream usually on Tuesdays. I'm on hiatus right now while I move, but that should be over soon.
Yes, and probably by the time this episode is going up, you should be out of hiatus.
Oh,
It'll
yeah,
probably
that's
be
a good
month or
point.
two.
I will be out of hiatus. Edit that out. Don't let everyone know I moved. That's hidden information now.
Where can people find you, Matthew?
You can find me on Twitter at I'm Your Paper Pal. You can find me on Tumblr at Your Paper Pal, because guess what? Someone else stole the Paper Pal name, and I think I say this every single episode because I'm still bitter about it.
What a great bit. You
You're
can
so
find
valid.
You can find me at KEBBBBS on Twitter, or at DaiHenshin, DAIHENSHIN on Tumblr, if you still have a Tumblr in this day and age. Thank you so much for joining us one more time here at Golden Truths. Please join us next time. And finally, for real this time, rest peacefully, my beloved witch, Beatrice.
後ろの道は消えてしまった
All right, starting my audio recording for the podcast. You guys got anything fun you want to say to Jen?
Yeah. Hi!
What's up? Your computer fell.
Yeah.
What a loser.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, my sound levels.
Starting my recording now.
My sound levels look
Mine's
good.
been running
should,
for a few minutes.
Yeah, fuck
Bye,
yeah,
guys. Love
baby.
you.
Fuck. Umineko Wednesday. Fuck.
KFC,
yes. Yeah,
baby.
baby.
Hey.
Wednesday.
Oh god.
I'm so glad to finally be talking to you all. Like, I've been talking about Umineko to people who don't know what Umineko is because I have to talk about it.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was telling my friend. I tell my friend about Umineko because I know they're never gonna get into it, and I think it's funny to just link them shit out of context.
Bless you.
Everyone get hype.
Like that. Yeah, I like that. Everyone please open to time.is
I already had it up.
if everyone's got it up. We will, I guess we'll do our 3 claps because everybody loves the 3 clap.
Yeah, we have to do 3.
We have to do 3.
But not super loud, is what you're saying.
Well, these can be loud because these are just going to get cut out. These are just for editing purposes.
Oh,
to
so the
sync all our
claps we
audio.
like to do is goofs to annoy you.
Yeah, those should be quiet.
Okay.
Or like, you know, if you're talking and you want to be like making a point like that, like I think that's fun. I think that kind of adds to the audio soundscape, but they shouldn't be like too loud. And especially the thing that bothers me are things that end up very bassy on the recording, which is again like bumping microphone or like pounding your desk. Those are because those are lower frequencies, which can the higher end of that sound of you bumping your desk can intermingle with the lower end of your voice. It makes it difficult to cut that stuff out and you know, make everything a little cleaner.
Okay. Okay, I'm good. I'm recording.
Everyone recording. Everybody ready to clap?
Yes.
Question mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ready. Sorry, I was gargling water to get my mouth as pristine as possible.
Thank you so much. You're so kind and considerate. Okay. Let's clap on 25, 30, and 35. Felt pretty good about those.
I
Pretty
did
on
too.
beat. Oh, all right.
See, you know this is gonna be a good one because we're taking the claps seriously.
Oh yeah. The more they sync up, that's the more we are all in sync on this recording. Okay. Any other questions or comments or concerns?
Yes, I just want to confirm that I changed my last name for the recording. I just want to confirm pronunciation came across.
Oh yeah. Valant was what I was
Yeah,
going
you
to
got
go
it.
with.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
Okay. And Caelum, you're O'Leary Codair. Is that
Yes.
that's still good, right?
Yes. No, I haven't changed it in the past month.
Okay, it's just making I see a name and I'm like, okay, I did pronounce that last time, but like I should just triple check on that. Okay.
I'm Matt Winter.
Winter. Oh, okay.
Matt, I was
Like
drinking
that
water. That made
Shakespeare.
me spit laughing.
Like that Shakespeare play. I get it.
My shirt's wet now.
Oh God.
Wet T-shirt
Well-
podcast. Let's go.
All right, yeah, shirtless podcast. Everybody whip them
hold
off.
on. What?
Okay.
Okay,
That's
I'm
everyone's
shirtless.
favorite part of the recording. It's where I psych myself up to start the intro. Hoo-ah. Oh, Christ. Oh, I didn't come up with a funny, like, intro thing to say.
Oh, you're starting something new?
Like, last time I said, hey ho gamers or something.
Hey ho gamerinos is what
Yeah,
you
it
said.
was great. It was pretty good.
It was
right?
really funny.
Okay. I'm
There's
workshopping.
always every
Workshopping.
pony.
I'm working.
Oh, you can't say that one.
Not for this
That's a
one.
bridge
Not for
too
this
far,
one.
I think.
I'll just leave the call
Oh
if that
God.
happens.
What is up, my inverted brothers?
No.
Mhm.
Did they actually ever
Not
say
that either.
that?
Uh, Yes, Gamzee does say that to Karkat. I think the first time.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
could
yeah.
voice that for you real quick.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Wow,
no.
accredited, acclaimed individual
Oh,
over
fuck.
here. Okay. Fuck, baby. Fucking.
Umineko
Fuck yeah, baby.
Wednesday.
Umineko Wednesday.
That could be it. That could be the
Oh my
opening.
God.
Yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah. That. Okay. Okay. Everyone, shut up. Everyone, shut up. God damn it.
It's you.
Oh. Oh. Fuck.
I want to take this moment, ladies and gentlemen, before God and before you, in case I don't get to bring it up on the podcast, that Virgilia and Gap are lesbians, and they have a lot of cute and funny moments during this, and amidst all of the depressing, confusing, existential time crisis shit going on, it warmed my heart for them to be fucking disaster gays.